Chapter 561. Qin Guang, who had turned into a puddle of water, was also scared out of his wits. It was already inexplicable that he turned into water in the cup world. Just now, when Liuli picked up a part of his butt, it was even more painful. Now this flower had directly sucked away a puddle of water. How could he not panic? I'm going to die, I'm going to die, I'm going to die. Where did you suck away? Qin Guang screamed. Liuli pounced forward and pretended to grab Lu Minghua's branch, trying to squeeze out the water that had been sucked into her stomach. This was obviously unrealistic. Lu Minghua burped again, then shook her body and half of the branch sprang up out of thin air. She said with satisfaction, "It has been digested." Liuli was completely dumbfounded. "Your digestion speed is a bit fast." "What should I do? I'm going to die. Liuli, I'm going to die. I don't even know where I've been eaten." Qin Guang continued to scream. "You should cheer up a little and transform your spiritual body back for me. Won't you know where it's gone after transforming? Why are you still lying on the ground? Aren't you afraid that she will suck it again?" Liuli picked up the wooden box and pressed it to the side. She turned around and urged Qin Guang. About 10 minutes later, Qin Guang slowly returned to his human form, but halfway through he didn't panic anymore. Just now, when he was inexplicably in the form of water, Liuli grabbed his butt, which was very painful. But this time, when part of his body was sucked away by Lu Minghua, he didn't feel any pain. Either he had already died or she had sucked to a place that was not painful or itchy. In the process of Qin Guang's transformation, Lu Minghua also had an accident. She didn't move anymore, but she continued to grow taller at a speed visible to the naked eye. Her branch became translucent, constantly flickering with strange flowing light. Liuli tried to shout a few words, but Lu Minghua completely ignored her. Obviously, she had entered a mysterious state that was beyond Liuli's understanding. Liuli was also having a headache. The more she thought about it, the more she felt like she was being cheated. These two people were more troublesome than the other. Forget about Qin Guang, this mischievous guy, but Lu Minghua, who followed him here, was also crazy. Once he was crazy, he ate a piece of Qin Guang. If he wanted to do something, he would do it big. Liuli had no idea what would happen after she absorbed Qin Guang's spiritual body. Qin Guang carefully checked every inch of his body, but he didn't find anything missing. Strange, what's going on? He clearly felt like his body was being hollowed out, but why didn't anything decrease? Could it be that a part of his stomach was missing? *CK, this taste is a little heavy. That's not right either. It doesn't hurt anywhere? Even if the most useless appendix was sucked out, there should at least be some pain, right? Qin Guang turned his head and asked Liuli, "Do I look like I'm missing weight?" Liuli looked back at him. Wow. She lost control of her emotions. "What's going on? What's wrong with you? You're making me feel very uneasy. Why don't you touch your head? Stupid." Liuli conjured a mirror in her hand and threw it at Qin Guang. Qin Guang caught the mirror with one hand and touched his head with the other. Then, he looked at the shiny salted duck egg in the mirror and was silent for more than 10 seconds before letting out a long sigh. "It's just a loss of hair. At most, I'll join the anti-Baldy alliance later. That Baldy president will definitely become an even more loyal fan of mine when he sees that I'm cooperating with him. Have you ever seen a celebrity shave his head to cooperate with his fan club? I'm such an approachable internet celebrity of the new era. You don't seem to mind?" Liuli sat cross-legged beside Qin Guang and looked at Lu Minghua, who was still growing taller and had already broken the wooden house. Qin Guang also sat beside her calmly. "What's wrong with that? It's just a bald head. At most, I'll be Wu-Ku for a few days. It'll grow back sooner or later." Hee hee. Liuli smiled without saying anything. "Don't smile like that. You're giving me goosebumps. Just tell me what's wrong. I'm mentally prepared." Liuli touched his scalp that was as smooth as a boiled egg. "Feels really good. It's not bad to think that I'll have such a comfortable bowling ball in the future." "You mean my hair won't grow back?" Qin Guang faintly felt that something was wrong. Liuli nodded and swung her beautiful black hair to slap Qin Guang's face. "You're now in a spiritual state. Your hair in the spiritual state has been eaten. When you go out, your real hair will quickly dry up and then, forever. Damn it. Don't be sad. I think your bald head looks more handsome than usual. Believe me, this is God's sense of beauty. It's not wrong. Don't many football stars like to shave their heads in this world? For example, your favorite Brazilian Ronaldo? Carlos. And what's his name again? Zidane? Zidane, that's the Mediterranean that comes out of hair loss. Forget it, stop struggling. Since things have come to this, you might as well accept reality. Without hair, you can effectively reduce wind resistance when you exercise vigorously. The shape of your head right now is very aerodynamic. As expected of a veteran netizen, these modern words came out of Lioli's mouth like it was a game. Is there really no chance for it to grow back? Don't ask me. This emperor is getting more and more confused about this broken cup of yours. Figure it out yourself. From the inexplicable disappearance of the divine statue to you turning into water, and now dear cry situation, this old lady is also very confused, okay? Maybe, when the heavenly holy grail is upgraded from the one-line sky to the third cloud sky, what new changes will there be? Maybe, when the heavenly holy grail is upgraded from the one-line sky to the third cloud sky, what new changes will there be? As Qin Guang sucked in a cold breath, he roared, I'll be a fool if I believe you. Stop talking nonsense, there's a situation. While the two of them were chatting, the deer cry flower in front of them finally grew bigger and bigger. In just a few minutes, it had actually shot up over 100 feet. The stem that she had broken off earlier grew back. Pieces of green leaves that were larger than shutters swayed without any wind. The flower bud at the top rapidly expanded from its bud state, and then bloomed into a magnificent and colorful giant flower. This flower had a diameter of several feet. Qin Guang touched his bald head and stared blankly at this giant flower that rose up into the sky. Although he didn't want to admit it, touching his bald head was really addictive. So my hair is actually so nourishing. He silently lowered his head and started thinking about the other hairs on his body. He wondered if he could rely on selling his body hair in the future to make a fortune. Lioli chuckled at him again. Qin Guang looked at the giant flower bud that was bent down and hanging in midair. Could it be that a seed will grow from inside? That it will produce a flower fairy? As he said this, the flower stopped moving. It no longer continued to grow taller and taller. It looked exactly the same as when it first appeared in the cup world, except that it was much bigger. Lioli sighed. Is it over just like this? I thought it could transform. Sister Lioli, I'm still lacking something. Help me. The deer cry flower finally spoke. Lioli stood up. How can I help? Come a little closer and lend me some divine power. The deer cry flower said again. Lioli stood a little closer. Come a little closer. She came even closer. In the next moment, the several giant leaves of the deer cry flower suddenly swept down and swept Lioli up with lightning speed. What are you doing? Lioli wanted to use force to break free, but she was worried that she would hurt the deer cry flower, so she could only scream angrily. Sister Lioli, I'm just a little bit away from transforming. You have to help me. Qin Guang was also shocked by this scene. Recalling that the deer cry flower had just eaten his hair, he thought to himself, could it be that she was going to eat Lioli? *CK. This can't be. Although this female rogue god emperor was very unreliable, although her temper was also very bad, although she had this and that bad, the old man absolutely could not sit idly by and do nothing. Risk it all. Just as he was about to raise his leg and rush forward, he heard Lioli cry out in alarm and put her down. She didn't want to eat Lioli. Dear cry. This old lady has been tricked to death by you. My lustrous feather dress. Oh my God. Lustrous feather dress. This old lady finally brought in the only divine dress and you just let me eat it? Do you want this old lady to not be able to wear it for the rest of her life? No wonder Lioli was so furious. Although her lustrous feather dress had suffered a lot and often couldn't be condensed, she didn't care much about it when she didn't have it. She just used clouds to cover it, and when she could condense it, she just used some cloth to cover her body. More than half of her divine power was wasted elsewhere. But it was different this time. It was completely gone. Qin Guang was happy. Oh, it's the clothes that are gone. Not bad at all. This deer cry is one of us. Opportunity. As an experienced old man, how could he let such a heaven-sent opportunity slip by him? Lioli had just suffered a great change and hadn't thought of condensing clouds to cover her body. At this moment, her smooth and round divine buttocks were swaying in front of Qin Guang like a full moon in the night sky. This was not the first time he saw the benefits behind Lioli, but every time he saw these two halves of the sacred object, Qin Guang felt that his aesthetic standards would be refreshed to a new height. Head can be broken, blood can flow, but benefits can't be lost. I want to see the front. Qin Guang tiptoed forward silently. When he was about to pass by Deer Cry, he fiercely leaped forward, turned his body in midair, and opened his eyes wide. Now, success or failure depended on this one move. He sprinted forward like a cannonball. His head gradually passed by Lioli, and his eyes opened wider and wider. At this moment, Lioli was immersed in the pain of losing the lustrous feather robe. How could she have thought that there was a female wolf stripping clothes in front of her and a male thief peeping behind her? When Qin Guang's head completely passed the midline and looked at the pair of perfect creations with pink jade on the peak, his mind was completely blank. What kind of beautiful scenery was this? It could make people forget all the sadness and unhappiness in the world, and thoroughly cleanse their souls. This was simply a demon. In an instant, it devoured all of Qin Guang's consciousness like poison. He had once thought that after spending 200 years in the transient sea, he was already a man with a very firm will. He would definitely not easily lose his reason in front of a woman's body, but now he understood that he was only half right. He did have some resistance towards women, but this time the one he was facing was a real goddess. In a trance, Qin Guang once again thought of Liuli's divine emperor true body. At this moment, her full of benefits was fully exposed, and it was not inferior to the spiritual pressure brought by the true body. The difference was that it was oppressive torture, but this time it was a completely intoxicating enjoyment. Liuli was cursing when she saw a cannonball darting past her. She turned her head to look. Damn, what's with your eyes? The old pervert's eyes were suffused with a divine light. Are you going against the heavens? The obsession in your heart is a bit too strong. She cried out in alarm and hurriedly covered her head with one hand and her lower body with the other. Pure white mist quickly appeared around her, covering her body first. Before his head hit the deer cry flower, Qin Guang was unconscious. On the other side, the deer cry flower was absorbing the lustrous feather robe, but it suddenly cried out. It was unknown where Qin Guang had hit. Liuli covered her mouth and looked at Qin Guang, whose head was half embedded in the deer cry flower stem, who was trying to pull it out with both hands, but could not pull it out. She then listened to the deer cry flower's rather meaningful cry. This was really, evil people get their retribution. Both of them were not good people, so they deserved it. At this moment something strange happened again. The place where Qin Guang's head was embedded in the deer cry flower suddenly burst out with a dazzling light, and waves of the deer cry flower's divine sense poured out like a tide. Countless vines extended from the deer cry flower and fiercely stabbed into the ground of Cloud City. The deer cry flower's body also gradually faded, as if it was really going to disappear. Liuli, save me. Qin Guang and the deer cry flower shouted at the same time. Liuli's beautiful face changed. At this moment she finally understood the current situation. First of all, the divine statue inexplicably disappeared. Then the deer cry flower ate the hair of Qin Guang's spiritual body. While it was greatly nourished, it formed an extremely profound connection with Qin Guang and the heavenly sacred grail. Then in order to transform, she ate her lustrous feather dress. In the flower body condensed from her divine sense, her own divine power, Qin Guang's spiritual body and divine sense, her lustrous feather dress, and the power of God's wrath that brought her here. The composition of her power became unprecedentedly complex. Finally, Qin Guang's head was embedded in her body. Qin Guang himself was the hub of the heavenly sacred grail, so he immediately connected the deer cry flower and the heavenly sacred grail's realm in the cup. If nothing unexpected happened, with the deer cry flower's current power, facing the ocean-like power of the heavenly sacred grail, she was destined to become a drop of water in the vast ocean. She was going to be assimilated by the grail. Right now she only had this spiritual body. Without it, everything would be over. So she called for help. As for Qin Guang, his spiritual body was used as a medium. For a moment, an excessively powerful power passed through his body. Just like a person getting an electric shock, he couldn't hold on any longer. Count it as my bad luck, sigh. Liuli sighed. Who told her to have such two clowns? She immediately sat down cross-legged. A moment later, a translucent, shimmering super-small Liuli appeared above her head. It drew a meteor-like trace in the air and fiercely slammed into the place where Qin Guang and the deer cry flower were stuck together. A loud sound rang out. Qin Guang was blasted away. His head tilted to one side and he fainted again. When he woke up again, the first thing he saw when he opened his eyes was a familiar scene. The sky was filled with the familiar threads of faith value. Did the old man's faith value return? What happened just now? Qin Guang got up from the ground. The huge deer cry flower was still standing there, shining with colorful brilliance as if it was surrounded by a rainbow. The edge of the flower and leaves seemed to have some emerald green mist, like a gauze curtain. That should be the transformation of Liuli's lustrous feather dress that she had eaten. The threads that filled the sky came from the sky and directly connected to the deer cry flower. Regarding this situation, Qin Guang immediately understood. The deer cry flower had replaced the function of the statue. On the other side, Lioli was wrapped in clouds and sat at the side with a bitter face. He didn't know what she was worried about. Qin Guang leaned over and said, "What's the situation?" Lioli turned her head and glared at him fiercely. "You're the winner." Immediately after, Qin Guang saw her wave her hand and a huge force came toward him. When he came back to his senses, he was already outside. In the cup world, Lioli and Dear Cry Flower looked at each other for a long time. "That, Sister Lioli, I didn't do it on purpose. The situation was completely out of control," Dear Cry Flower said without apology. Lioli sighed. "What should we do now? A strand of my soul was sucked into the Holy Grail. I did knock the two of you away just now, but my own strand of soul was sucked away. Tell me, what should we do now?" "Isn't this good?" "How is it good?" The world in a cup that he had experienced before was one thing, but judging from the current situation, this means that the next time a cup world like the Sea of Time appears, I will be that Captain Annie. In the world of Dota, I will be that computer. In the racing god training field, I will be that Alto car. In the world of pencil sharpening, I will be that King pencil sharpener. Boat driving skills, oh, he hasn't learned it yet. I will become that boat. In the world of the Chilan arm, I will be that brass firework. Pile driver? Damn, don't mention that thing. In short, won't I be tormented to death by him? Dear Cry thought for a moment. But looking at your expression, even though you say no, your body is honestly looking forward to it? At this moment, Qin Guang suddenly rushed in. "But I forgot to ask something. It's very important." For some reason he felt that the current Lioli was like a firecracker that would explode at the slightest touch. "I'll give you 1 minute. Make it short," Lioli said angrily. Qin Guang hurriedly explained the plan that he had thought of in one breath. Lioli sucked in a breath of cold air. Just when she was vexed that she was going to turn into a car, a boat, a brass firework, and some cup, "You're telling me that you plan to experience the world of the Heavenly Spirit Cup in batches?" Qin Guang rubbed his hands in distress. "This time there's really no other way. I've been forced into a desperate situation by the matters outside. If I don't think of a way to become more powerful, there's a risk that my entire family might be exterminated if I'm not careful. Otherwise, Lord Lioli, can you leak a bit of your godly power outside and bless me with an easy victory? Otherwise I'll really die." Lioli endured for a very long time. Her heart was filled with countless corpses. In the end she gritted her teeth and said, All right, no problem. I'll start preparing for you from now on." "All right. Love you, Mwax." After Qin Guang said that, he took the initiative to run away. When he disappeared once again, Dear Cry shook its huge flower bud. "Sister Lioli, take care. I'm almost broken by the two of you, really?" Lioli said. Chapter 562. When he opened his eyes, the outside world was still beautiful. Beside him, Xen Qin, who was walking side by side with him, was still looking at him with a sad expression. "I said something wrong about Wenwen and you're not happy? Did I say anything wrong?" Xen Qin raised her nose, looking like a little girl throwing a tantrum. Qin Guang patted her head. "You're a kid, you don't understand adult things." "I said I'm an adult." Xen Qin stamped her feet and wanted to run away, but after 2 steps she stopped reluctantly and looked back at Qin Guang. "Why don't you chase me?" Qin Guang laughed. "Watch less TV and don't learn these melodramatic scenes." "I think you're quite melodramatic. I really don't know what you're thinking. Let's not get involved in the Wen family's business, okay? You look like you won't give up and I'm worried." Qin Guang covered his heart. "How can I be so favored by you? Why are you so nice to me?" He was almost moved. He and Xen Qin hadn't known each other for a long time, but she was so warm-hearted. "If you die, who's going to help me promote darts? I have a master's order. If you die, who will I go to?" Xen Qin finally told the truth. "Even if you lie to me, it's fine. Don't be so worldly." Qin Guang's touched feelings disappeared instantly. This little girl was too straightforward. At this moment, a gust of wind blew through the mountain forest, and Qin Guang's scalp began to itch. He knew it was time. His life would be completely rewritten at this moment. From then on, he would step on the road of being a powerhouse. To be a powerhouse, first of all, he had to be bald. Although you said so, and Xing Yongtai also said so, maybe if it was someone else they would think that I was courting death. But on second thought, since I was dragged into this from the beginning, do I have a way out? There is no such thing. Even if I bury my head in the ground like an ostrich, those people won't bother me? Since they could look for me and my family once because of Wenwen, wouldn't there be a second and third time? Xen Qin pondered for a long time. Yes. So, I have to become stronger, right? I'm afraid you don't understand what it means to be an inner force martial artist. We are different from you. Even if you're Wenwen's friend, you're just an ordinary person. I want to help you but I'm powerless. It's too late for you to learn martial arts now. Qin Guang shook his head. You don't understand who I am. Little girl, you are still very naive. Xan Qin rolled her eyes and looked at Qin Guang as if he was an idiot. She felt that this person was seriously ill and needed treatment. He must have been scared silly. I feel like I'm about to become stronger. I'll become very, very strong. Qin Guang's face was brimming with a confident smile. As he spoke, the wind blew over his head. His hair snapped in the wind and flew away. In midair, his hair that had been cut off directly turned into specks of dust, thoroughly decomposed by the wind. In an instant, a fresh and dazzling salted duck egg bald head appeared in front of Xan Qin. Under the scorching afternoon sun, it shone with a dazzling radiance. Xan Qin was shocked. Saitama-sensei. You also watch One Punch Man? It's pretty good, isn't it? I'm a little surprised. I didn't expect a tsundere loli like you to like silly cartoons. You're bald now. Aren't you even more silly? Life is unpredictable. I can't explain it to you. Xan Qin's nerves were obviously much more tenacious than ordinary people. If it was someone else who saw the person next to them become bald in such a strange way, they would have long been scared out of their wits, thinking that a ghost had shaved his head in broad daylight. She unexpectedly accepted the reality without any discomfort. The two of them had a profound but simple discussion about who was stronger between Saitama and Sion. In the end, neither of them wanted to talk to the other. As a fresh bald head, Qin Guang of course had to defend the honor of a strong bald head, but Xan Qin firmly believed that Sion, who had countless forms, had more potential. The two of them almost fought. This intense topic came to an end when Qin Guang took out a jade bottle from his crotch, oh no, from his trouser pocket, which he had found in the car of the two escaping master warriors. Xan Qin exclaimed as soon as she saw the bottle, "Power pill? Power pill? What's that?" Qin Guang was at a loss as he held the bottle in his hand. Xan Qin snatched the jade bottle from his hand and held it in front of her eyes to carefully examine it. She said, "This is a kind of elixir that is specially used for inner force warriors to take in an emergency to increase their strength. It is jointly produced by our Thousand Despair sect in Thousand Flowers Valley. Thousand Flowers Valley is responsible for making elixirs, and our Thousand Despair sect is good at hidden weapons. This jade bottle is the work of our Thousand Despair sect. It can guarantee the effectiveness of the power pill for 10 years. So powerful?" Qin Guang's interest was piqued. Xan Qin was quite embarrassed. "My sect used to be very powerful, but now we can only rely on this little gadget to make a living with Thousand Flowers Valley. Why don't you sell it to ordinary people? It's quite profitable." "For ordinary people, this is a poison that penetrates their intestines. They will die in less than 5 seconds. Fortunately, I didn't eat it." Qin Guang rejoiced. "You snatched it from the two people you were chasing?" "Yes." Xan Qin thought about it and returned the bottle to Qin Guang. She looked like she wanted to say something but was hesitant. "Can you be more honest? Your acting is worse than mine. I know you must have discovered something just by looking at you. Don't be like that. You're making things difficult for me. You're making things difficult for me if you don't tell me." "All right. Actually, only the core disciples of our Thousand Despair sect in Thousand Flowers Valley know about this. Actually, every jade bottle we make has a special mark. I know which batch this is, and I also know who this batch of power pill was sold to." "Who?" "But I don't want to tell you. We can't be friends anymore if you keep this up." The two of them bickered for a long time. When they returned to the city, Qin Guang did not speak to Xan Qin for 3 whole hours. Xan Qin finally sighed. This batch of power pill was produced about 3 years ago. It was sold in batches to a subordinate sect of Poison Sect. If everything went as expected, it ended up in the pockets of Poison Sect's disciples. Since Qin Guang had snatched the jade bottle from the two people, it was very likely that the two people had a close relationship with Poison Sect. Now that Poison Sect was powerful, it was impossible for outsiders to snatch something from Poison Sect's disciples. Qin Guang remembered the name and asked Xan Qin if she knew where the Wen family was. Xan Qin rejected him without hesitation. "I don't know. I won't tell you even if I know." After Xan Qin left, Qin Guang immediately took out his phone and called Wenwen. She kept her promise and did not lose contact this time. After a while the call was picked up. "I'm home. You don't have to worry about me. Where are you?" Wenwen's voice was filled with exhaustion. It was heart-wrenching. Qin Guang thought about it and told her everything that happened after she left today. You're saying that 2 more people came to spy on you? Wenwen was vaguely regretting her lack of consideration today. She had left in a hurry. If she had hidden a little longer, she might have been able to catch the 2 people. However, she could not be blamed for that. At that time, she was so confused by the strange movement in her body when Qin Guang approached her that she could not think clearly. Yes, I had a simple fight with them. What? Are you all right? Qin Guang laughed. I'm not bragging. Although I don't have inner force, they were not my match at all. I beat them up from the beginning until the end. They could not fight back at all. It's a pity that they escaped. That's impossible. Although you know some hidden weapon skills, there's no way you can fight against inner force in a head-on fight. You still don't believe me? Listen to me. Qin Guang told Wenwen the whole process of his fight with the 2 people in detail, especially when he punched the middle-aged man's shoulder. He felt a strange numbing and burning inner force in the meridians of his left hand, and the thunderbolt fire thrown by the middle-aged man. The most important evidence was Xan Qin's judgment of the strength pill produced by the Thousand Despair sect. After listening, Wenwen understood in her heart, but she did not reveal it to Qin Guang. All right, you should rest early. I have to meditate. How is it? I can help you, right? You told me to stay out of it. Qin Guang did not want to give up and asked for credit. Unexpectedly, Wenwen was silent for a while before she slowly said, I beg you really, don't meddle in this anymore. I said I would give you an explanation. Don't you trust me? You staying out of it is the biggest help to me. I don't like what you said. You have to listen even if you don't like it. I'll hang up first or else I'll beat you up later. Wenwen said and hung up the phone with a snap. Qin Guang held the phone in a bad mood, then looked at the cup in his hand. Fine, you're a strong woman. You're great, your fists are big. When the old man achieves great martial arts, I'll make you kneel and sing conquer, to the old man, okay? Rolling his eyes, Qin Guang did not care that it was already night time. He called Qian Ming and took the initiative to say that he was willing to go to the Shun Special Training Camp tomorrow to continue the special training. Qian Ming was overjoyed and immediately reported the news to Old Man Tan. Old Man Tan immediately arranged for people to pick up Qin Guang and go to the Shun Special Training Camp the next morning. Other than that, he also selected new elites in the Yanjing military region to become the second batch of special training members for Chief Instructor Qin Guang. This was also Qin Guang's request. Qin Guang's plan was very simple. Since he was going to consume a lot of faith points to enter the middle realm of the spiritual heavenly cup, he naturally had to hurry up and increase the production of faith points. The most efficient method was naturally this special training with darts. The next morning he woke up early. The Shun Special Training Camp's car that was responsible for picking him up was already waiting in the hotel parking lot. At the same time, military elites from all over the country were selected one after another and gathered in Yanjing from all over the country. If it wasn't for Qin Guang's special identity and his freedom, Old Man Tan actually didn't want to let him leave the special training camp at all. He wanted nothing more than to lock him inside and squeeze out his usefulness to the extreme. Now that he was very enthusiastic about this matter, Old Man Tan of course fully cooperated. Chapter 563. The back seat of the car was quite spacious. It was a specially reinforced armored MPV. According to Qian Ming's bragging, the car's glass could withstand a sniper rifle. The overall structure of the car could even protect the lives of the passengers in the back under the bombardment of an RPG. It was Qin Guang's first time sitting in such a high-end car. He felt like he had become a master if he wasn't careful. There was a flaw. The car couldn't fly. It would take another 4 hours to get from here to the Shun Special Training Camp. In fact, Qin Guang wanted to say, since I'm your chief instructor, why didn't you send a helicopter to pick me up? However, he wasn't that thick-skinned and kept the words in his heart. Blackie, is there Wi-Fi in the car? He had been using the lousy script of Women every day to pass the time. Qin Guang treated it as a novel and had almost memorized it. He could even recite the lines of the other people, let alone his own supporting role. He couldn't stand it anymore, so he turned his attention to the laptop that he hadn't used for 2 days. Blackie replied quickly, yes, sir. The dedicated military 4G network is 3 times faster than the ordinary civilian network. It has low latency and is more stable. Most importantly, it's free. Can we play Dota? Qin Guang opened his backpack and took out his laptop. He was delighted. Blackie said loudly again, yes. We can play both. Yesterday when we were waiting for someone, I played with Captain Qian. However, we played League of Legends. Both games should have similar network requirements, right? Chen Ming, who was sitting in the front passenger seat, coughed violently. *CK This Blackie was too much. How could he say that? Captain Chen, is your throat not feeling well? Blackie was confused. Chen Ming rolled his eyes. No, my heart hurts. Blackie asked again, was it because you were angered by a primary school student when you lost 3 times in a row in ranked yesterday? Can we not talk about League of Legends? If this guy wasn't driving, Chen Ming would have strangled him to death. Blackie said, okay, Instructor Chen, why did you think of shaving your head? Which family did you shave it from? It's so clean. I can't even see a single strand of hair. It's just like the tea eggs in my hometown. Qin Guang, who was trying to pull his laptop out, spat out a mouthful of blood. Alright Hazy, you should focus on driving. Don't talk so much. Blackie looked very wronged. He didn't know what he had said wrong. Chen Ming let out a long sigh of relief. If he allowed this guy to continue talking, he would probably spill the beans about him falling into a manure pit during his mission a few days ago. By the way, Instructor Chen, I have something very interesting to tell you. A few days ago, when Captain Chen and I were arresting people in the eastern suburbs of Beijing, shut the *CK up. No one will think you're mute if you don't speak. Chen Ming broke down. While the two of them were having fun, Qin Guang didn't have time to deal with them. It turned out that when he pulled out the laptop, a blue-covered booklet was brought out along with the laptop. Holding the fingernail-thick booklet in his hand, Qin Guang was puzzled. What book was this? When did I buy it? Why don't I have any impression of it? Gently stroking the cover, a unique fragrance of ancient books wafted out from the booklet. There wasn't a single word on the cover. When he flipped to the first page, 3 engraved and printed Wei Bei characters before the Republic of China appeared in front of him. Although the characters seemed to be a little diffuse because of the long time, it still gave off a kind of domineering aura. Painting manual? What the hell? Although he didn't know much about the domestic market for ancient books, even if he used his toes to think, this book definitely wouldn't be cheap. Just as he was about to continue flipping, a small colored card fell out from the seam of the book. On the front of the card was a very unique and indecent photo. Next to it was written, "The passionate little sister will take you to fly if you are satisfied. Please call 13XX. Qin Guang was shocked. Could it be that the little sister who gave the card was a hidden Jianghu expert? But when he flipped to the back, he saw Wenwen's handwriting. It was personally written by her. This is the copy of my Wen family's painting manual. It is also the Wen family's strongest secret. You can take it and practice it. After you master it, we will be the eagle hero couple. Yes, I am the hero and you are the companion." Bah! Qin Guang secretly spat. "Brother, I am so masculine, so I must be the hero. You are more likely to be blind." Unknowingly, the 2 words Qin Yu appeared in his mind again. Forget it, let's not talk about it. Since this was a small booklet given by Wenwen, it must be very important. I can't take it lightly. Sure enough, the night before yesterday, I did that to her. Of course. Well, I was the one who did that to her. If I remember correctly, she once said that I have to be her man, which means that I have to marry her in order to practice her Wen family's internal strength. Now, without saying anything, you put the secret book in front of me. This can only mean that the rice was cooked the day before yesterday. You still lied to me that nothing happened. I don't believe you even if you tell me. When I woke up, I felt that I had lost a lot of weight. I almost got away with it because of you. Qin Guang wasn't very clear about how big the Wen family was and what kind of power it had. But from the few words that Xian Qin revealed, if an ordinary person married the daughter of the Wen family, it meant that he would marry into the family. For a son-in-law who married into the family, would this kind of martial arts aristocratic family unreservedly hand over the strongest secret book that their eldest miss cultivated? This obviously wouldn't happen. But Wenwen just straightforwardly and neatly put her own secret book in his hands. That's right, it must be because her situation is particularly critical. She needs the most powerful gay friend to quickly grow stronger and then form the divine eagle couple that she talked about. Together they will kill until the world is turned upside down. This person, Qin Guang, will not pass on this responsibility. Qin Guang took a deep breath. Since this was a peerless divine skill that the old man exchanged for by selling his body and soul, then he must take a deep breath and adjust his state of mind. Then he must treat it seriously as if he was on a pilgrimage. He no longer joked around with Chen Ming and Haizi. Throwing the notebook to the side, Qin Guang leaned against the back seat and seriously studied it word by word. The Wen family's Danqing scroll wasn't obscure. Although it was written in the ancient style of classical Chinese, as a university student of the new era, Lord Guang, who had studied from poetry to spring snow in Qinyuan in high school, could basically understand the meaning. Rather than calling this book a secret book, it would be better to say that it was a simple instruction manual for bodybuilding methods in classical Chinese. It was merely the work of the ancients, and after a long period of improvement and practice, it had become a systematic method that could cultivate inner strength. About 3 hours later, he finally memorized this thin booklet word by word. He could already vaguely see the dense forest in front of him. They were almost at the special training camp. Chen Guang closed the book and silently stuffed it into his inner pocket, feeling vaguely melancholy. This secret book was too damn deceptive. The Danqing Scroll was divided into 2 volumes. The first volume tempered the body with external skills, while the second volume stimulated inner strength. According to the Danqing Scroll, the Wen family's martial arts focused on external to internal. It was naturally best to start building the foundation when one was a child. When one's body and bones had just begun to grow, that was when one was 5 or 6 years old, one would start following the tempering method recorded in the external skills volume. One would train hard every day regardless of whether it was windy or rainy. Apart from this, one also had to supplement it with various medicinal soups refined from various precious herbs. While tempering one's muscles, bones, skin and flesh, one would persevere in soaking the medicine. When one's bodily functions were exhausted to the extreme, one's muscles, bones, skin and flesh would also turn into sponges, absorbing the various nourishing substances in the medicine. While soaking the medicine, one would also rest. After soaking in the medicine, one would get up to take medicine. After taking the medicine, one's body would be more or less rested, so one would continue to train hard while exhausting one's stamina to temper the body and absorb the medicine. Then, one would continue soaking in the medicine, repeating this process 3 times a day. It was similar to the process when Chen Guang practiced the Kirin arm, but it was more complicated. Through this continuous tempering, one's bodily functions would be trained to the extreme to expand the body's adaptability. It didn't necessarily require much strength, but the quality of the muscles, bones, skin and flesh could reach the peak of an ordinary person through such daily hard training, until one could reach the requirements of cultivating inner strength. Perhaps each family's cultivation methods were different, the external skills used to temper the body were different, the medicines used were different, and the requirements for cultivating inner strength were also different. Chen Guang didn't have a reference. However, it was written in the painting volume that if a child was at the age of rapid growth, the body would take at least half a year to 2 years to lay the foundation of external force, which was around 6 years old or 7 or 8 years old. Basically, people with some talent would be able to reach the standard and start to stimulate their internal force. After that, they would be able to practice external force while meditating to improve their internal force. However, if the same thing were to happen to an adult, especially after the age of 18, because the body's bones had fully developed, the difficulty of improving the foundation of one's body would increase exponentially. This so-called foundation was not as simple as having a few more muscles after working out, but the evolution and perfection of the most basic cell level from the muscles, bones, skin and flesh. What made Chen Guang depressed was that the same external skills to lay the foundation, children only needed half a year to 2 years, but adults needed at least 10 years. This meant that if he wanted to cultivate this Danqing Scroll, he had to practice external skills as soon as he woke up, soak in a medicinal bath after practicing external skills, and then continue to practice external skills after soaking in the medicinal bath. He couldn't do anything else, and this cycle would take at least 10 years. He also had to take the risk of not being able to master it. After all, even among the children in the Wen family, not everyone could cultivate inner strength. The difference was only in the talent limit of the muscles, bones, skin and flesh, which was commonly known as the root bone. Without the root bone, it would be a waste to practice. However, it was fine for a child to do nothing for 2 years, but for an adult to gamble for more than 10 years, it was a little crazy. Chen Guang suddenly felt that when Wenwen gave him this scroll, it was not like she was inviting him to be in the Legend of the Condor Heroes with her. She simply felt that he was annoying and threw a big picture in front of him, tricking him to plunge into learning inner strength, so that he wouldn't be a burden to her. Although she didn't say it clearly, this was the meaning. Calculating, Wenwen had cultivated inner strength for at least 12 years to reach her current level. If he started practicing now, he would be like the old man with extraordinary talent. After 10 years, he would be able to stimulate the inner strength, and then he would practice for another 10 years to reach the level before she broke through, which was the realm she showed in school. After 20 years, if something went wrong and she lost to someone else, the grass on her grave would be almost 3 feet high, right? He didn't know why, but when he thought of this situation, he felt completely unable to lift his spirits. He entered the Shun special training camp with a melancholy mood. The second batch of military elites that Tan Zhaohua had gathered had not yet arrived. At present, only 500 people had arrived, and the remaining 500 people would arrive one after another in the afternoon. Qin Guang was not in a hurry to go and only asked them to continue gathering. He ran to the officer's dormitory that old man Tan had deliberately arranged for him, sat down and took out his cell phone to call Wenwen. "Big sister, your painting scroll is a bit of a scam." "How is it a scam?" "This is my family's unique skill. I have now become a literary grandmaster, which is enough to override the family rules to a certain extent. That's why I have the courage to give it to you. Otherwise, if I make such a mistake, I will be skinned, stripped of my merit, and imprisoned. Then I really thank you for your great kindness. By the way, when did you cultivate inner strength?" 6.5 years. "Why?" "I only practiced outer strength for 2 months and inner strength emerged on its own. I didn't even deliberately meditate, it was very easy. Do your best, I'm optimistic about you. With my current great scholar level vision, you're definitely a martial arts prodigy that's rarely seen in 1,000 years. When have I ever lied to you? Work harder and in the future you can be like me. You don't have to worry about the medicinal herbs, I have already arranged for someone to send them to you. They will arrive in Wujing in a few days. When the time comes you can just go and take as much as you need. But you have to be careful, once you start you can't stop." Wenwen simply said that practicing martial arts was like cabbage. Qin Guang wanted to rush in front of her and strangle her to death. Did she really think that a 3-year-old child like him was so easily fooled? Do you know what inner strength feels like? Once you master it, you will feel as light as a swallow with every movement. When inner strength is exerted, the muscles in your body will have an extra force out of thin air. Not to mention now, when I was still in school, you have never seen me use real martial arts. When you saw my strength in school, it was not even 1/10 of my true level. Don't you want to be like me, to be able to easily bend our school's iron flagpole with one palm? What? I remember there was a flagpole that bent before the flag-raising ceremony in my freshman year. At that time, the school investigated for a long time, but they couldn't find the cause. In the end, it was you? Hee, I didn't think much at that time, I just wanted to try it out. How is it? Envious, right? I'm quite envious. Qin Guang couldn't say anything against his heart. Wenwen tempted him again, "So, you should start practicing now." But the painting scroll said that it takes an adult 10 years to train their muscles, bones and skin. 10 years, how can I stand it? Qin Guang rolled his eyes. Wenwen laughed. "Hey. Those are all conclusions that my ancestors concluded based on ordinary people's experience, and it may not be completely correct. For a peerless genius like you, it may not necessarily count. In my opinion, if it's you, at most 2 to 3 years, you can steadily stimulate inner strength. If you don't succeed by then, I will double repair it with you." Chapter 564. Bah. You didn't do dual cultivation the day before yesterday? No, I really didn't. Absolutely not. Wenwen lied with her eyes wide open. Seeing that he couldn't hear any truth from her, this good friend was obviously following the principle of not paying with his life if he didn't cheat others. She kept bragging about how awesome inner force was and how easy it was to cultivate it. She was just waiting for him to fall into her trap. Qin Guang held it in for a long time and sent out a sentence, "I really don't believe you." He hung up the phone. After waiting for a while, Wenwen sent another text message, "Come on. I'm waiting for you." On the other side, Wenwen was holding her phone and laughing. Of course, she knew that Qin Guang had already found out that the painting scroll was a trap. However, she wasn't worried that Qin Guang wouldn't learn it. After all, she knew how much Qin Guang wanted to learn inner strength not long after the two of them got to know each other. Now that such a heaven-sent opportunity was placed before him, Wenwen knew that it was impossible for him to resist the temptation. After all, he was a humble and upright person. Although practicing martial arts was difficult, as long as there was a chance, who would be willing to let go of such a chance to become a different person? There were many legends about inner force, qigong, inner force or other names among the people, but there were very few people who had actually seen it. Even if there were real rumors, people often scoffed at them and didn't take them seriously. They just thought that it was a swindling Jianghu swindler who used the name of a so-called master to cheat others of money, or even to cheat money and women. In recent years, the internet and even TV often exposed a certain master as a swindler, but there had never been a real person with unique skills who stood in front of the stage. Although inner force martial artists didn't completely hide from the world in the eyes of ordinary people, it was gradually becoming more and more like a fantasy. But even so, in the land of China where martial arts culture flourished, There were always people who were fascinated by the legendary inner force martial arts after reading novels that told about the heroic stories of China. If there was really a chance to learn inner force in front of ordinary people, who could be calm? You're just being stubborn. I really don't believe that you don't want to try. Eldest miss, everyone in the family has been summoned back. Everyone is waiting in the conference hall. What do you think? At this moment, someone knocked on her door from the outside. A shadowy figure stood outside the door and spoke in a servant's tone. The smile on Wenwen's face disappeared in an instant. She slowly got up and grabbed the black chop that was lying on the side of the table. She walked towards the door. Don't call me miss, call me patriarch. He pushed open the door. The moment the wooden door opened, the backyard of the Wen family suddenly lit up with a snowy light. Several dozen figures dressed in the clothes of the Wen family servants jumped out from various places. These people were at least above bone strength. Among them there were 7 or 8 masters of skin strength. They waved the weapons in their hands at the same time and surrounded Wenwen from all directions. As for the servant who knocked on the door, he eerily extended a pitch-black dagger from his palm and stabbed it towards Wenwen's heart. Faced with this sudden turn of events, Wenwen's expression did not change. She only said indifferently, Uncle Zhong, you've been in the Wen family for more than 30 years. You watched me grow up. Even you betrayed the Wen family. I'm really disappointed. As she spoke, she held the black chop in her hand and held it horizontally. Uncle Zhong's dagger pierced the black chop's scabbard. Uncle Zhong snorted. You still have the face to be disappointed in me? I'm even more disappointed in you and your useless father. How prestigious was the Wen family in the past. Now it has become like this. I, Zhong Dingyu, am loyal to the Wen family but not to you, Wen Jingtian and your daughter. Instead of letting the Wen family rot in the hands of your stubborn father, why don't you let Jingyun manage it? In my opinion, Jingyun is smart and talented. With him managing the family, the Wen family will definitely return to its peak in less than 10 years. At the very least, it won't lose to the Poison sect or the Dark sect. What a joke. Those short-sighted people from the Poison sect and the Dark sect only have some wealth in the secular world. Have they ever produced any top-notch experts? How can they be compared to the Wen family? Since ancient times, the Wen family has always been passed down. The eldest son is the leader and this has never changed. Third uncle, you're not the eldest son and you're not of the Wen family's bloodline. How can you be in charge of the Wen family? What? Jingyun isn't of the Wen family's bloodline? Ridiculous. You're spouting nonsense. Uncle Zhong's face turned pale. Then he gritted his teeth and roared, die. As soon as Uncle Zhong finished speaking, the dagger on Wenwen's scabbard suddenly pushed forward. You didn't expect this, did you? Actually, I had already broken through skin force with Jingyun's help 2 years ago. Wenwen, you're underestimating your enemy. Die. A moment later, he stood rooted to the ground with a flushed face. He could not move an inch forward. No matter how much force he used, the dagger seemed to be stuck to Wenwen's scabbard and could not move at all. This could only mean that Wenwen's inner force was a realm higher than his. She was able to penetrate through the black/saber's scabbard and completely stop his dagger. Oh, how is this possible? Uncle Zhong realized something. His face turned pale and he stared at Wenwen in disbelief. At that moment, the other martial artists who had surrounded them had already pounced on them when they saw that Zhong Dingyu was about to kill them. Wenwen closed her eyes slightly. When she opened them again, she was looking at these people with pity. Among them were real servants of the Wen family. There were also spies and spies from the outside. There were even some descendants of the Wen family's side branches. Although they also had the surname Wen, they were not related to Wenwen by blood. Uncle Zhong, you've been abandoned. That's right, I'm already a thought grandmaster. Third uncle has already died by my hands. I thought that you would have received the news long ago, so I wanted to give you a chance to turn over a new leaf. As long as you're willing to repent, I can pretend that nothing has happened. But from the looks of it, I can't do that. As the saying goes, a warrior cuts his wrist. Since your wrist has been cut, there's no need for me to keep you alive. Wenwen lightly shook the scabbard and sent Zhong Dingyu flying. She slowly pulled out her saber and unsheathed the black/saber, leaving no one alive. 10 minutes later, Wenwen, dressed in blood-stained clothes, stood at the entrance of the Wen family's front courtyard's conference room. She helped her father, Wen Jingtian, down from the clan leader's iron chair. In this critical time of life and death, with internal and external troubles, Wenwen officially took over the Wen family as the first Wen grandmaster in 100 years. Hundreds of miles away, Qin Guang sat in the officer's quarters in a daze. He was extremely annoyed. How many decades do people have in their lives? You want me to spend 10 years in here? How is that possible? This isn't the free time in the world in the cup. Wait. World in the cup. He slapped his forehead. Am I stupid? Old man, there's a shortcut. Tempering the body with the methods in the painting scroll is training. Isn't the world in the cup of the heavenly Holy Grail also training? The painting scroll can only make the body of an ordinary person approach the human limit. My world in the cup is aiming to surpass the limit, okay? It's obvious that my methods are deeper, more powerful, and faster. Why should I care about this 10 years of tempering? Or should I stick to the original plan and mass-produce the world in the spirit heaven cup and forge myself into a perfect state from head to toe, far surpassing the basic requirements of the painting scroll to stimulate inner strength? Anyway, isn't it the same? At worst, I'll just follow the methods recorded in the world in the cup to temper my muscles, bones, skin, and flesh. The more he thought about it, the more he felt it made sense. The melancholy from before was thrown far away in the blink of an eye. He just minded his own business and started to fiddle with the methods described in the painting scroll. The guards outside could only hear banging sounds coming from the dormitory. They didn't know what Chief Instructor Chen was busy with. About an hour later, a faint cracking sound came from inside, followed by Chief Instructor Chen's low cries. Inside, Qin Guang was lying on the bed in a very awkward posture. He was sweating profusely, his face pale and panting heavily. Oh my God, I sprained my waist. The Qilin arm was indeed useful. At first, he followed the postures recorded in the painting scroll and relied on the power of the Qilin arm to do all kinds of cool and challenging postures to speed up his progress. He completely forgot that all his skills were in the Qilin arm. The other parts of his body were only slightly above the standard of an ordinary person. He could fight, but he was still far from the human limit. He courted death so much and finally got his retribution. Now he sprained his waist on the bed and couldn't move. The pain was unbearable, but he got what he asked for. Hey, is there anyone outside? He couldn't move at all. He could only call for help. The two guards who were sent to help him were flustered. One of them put his face near the window and said, "Sir, I'm here. I sprained my waist. Call the doctor for me." About 15 minutes later, the professional doctor of Shun's special training camp arrived quickly. The two guards kicked the door open. The doctor exclaimed as soon as he entered the room, "Instructor Chin, what's this posture? Local specialty yoga? Can't you stop talking nonsense? Can't you see my cold sweat has soaked the quilt? There's a special training class in the afternoon. Help me straighten my bones." Crack. Crack. So F***king painful. Crack. It hurts so much. Finally, after the experienced doctor was exhausted and sweating, Qin Guang's local specialty yoga posture saved him. "Instructor Qin, although you're young, your body has been shaped. Don't learn the awkward posture of an acrobat. You're lucky today. I treat people's injuries every day in this special training camp. I've seen all kinds of strange moves. That's why I could save you so quickly. If you were in another place, even if it's a big hospital like Concord Hospital, you wouldn't have cried for more than half a day." The doctor wiped the sweat off his forehead and said angrily. Qin Guang just giggled, "I remember. I really remember. Once bitten, twice shy." Although he was used to courting death, how could he repeat the same mistake again? Even Tan Zhaohua was alarmed by such a change. The guards came when they kicked the door open and saw everything from beginning to end. But he didn't rush to say anything. Instead, he waited for the others to leave before he pulled Qin Guang and asked mysteriously, "Xiao Qin, where did you learn this move? Can you promote it?" Qin Guang stared at him. This guy is so despicable. Does he really think of himself as a little monster that can drop treasures just by hitting? "Do you really want to learn it?" "Of course. I'm old and can't learn it, but our soldiers are still young." "Then you'd better remember this. You must be careful. This was taught to me by a Taoist when I was traveling in Zhongnan Mountains a few days ago. He paid me 668 for this small book. Almost all the people outside are here. Shall we start the special dart training now?" "Bah. You have to reimburse me for the 668. I'll reimburse you for the money, but I don't want the book. I can't afford to lose face." Chapter 565. Actually, Tan Zhaohua and Qin Guang had a tacit understanding as to whether or not Qin Guang's posture had any meaning behind it. Even if fake Taoist priest was selling fake techniques to swindle money, there was no way he would write such a strange posture in a fake secret manual that normal people couldn't do. Otherwise, people would die easily, and the 668 yuan manual wouldn't even be enough to cover his expenses. However, Tan Zhaohua could tell from Qin Guang's jesting that this thing couldn't be leaked. The two seemed to be joking, but in reality they were giving each other a way out. Tan Zhaohua was also sure that Qin Guang's original suspicion of having connections with internal force was now confirmed. Qin Guang also used this to achieve another goal. From Tsing Yongtai he felt that some of the people in power looked down on and belittled him. This time he came back to increase the training quota for Shun's special training zone, not only to obtain more faith, but also to increase his importance in another aspect. He wanted Tan Zhaohua to see more of his abilities, and he had to use old Tan's mouth to let more people know that he was important. The two's tacit teasing resolved the awkwardness of one wanting to obtain the secret of internal force, and the other not wanting to spread it. Both of them had achieved what they wanted to achieve. This was the philosophy of life of Tan Zhaohua, the cunning old monster, and another old monster who had the face of a young man and the mentality of a young man, but had actually been fighting somewhere for more than 100 years. It was simple and easy to use but highly effective. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon that day, 1,000 Special Forces soldiers from the Yenjing military received a particularly profound lesson in Shun's special training camp with great anticipation and nervousness. Qin Guang did the same thing as before, and 6 more followers who had mastered the shrinking dart technique showed up. 2 hours later he gained another 2 followers, and among this group of people, there could be more followers who could produce more than 100 points of faith. Other than that, even if the others were unable to learn it, they could still produce more than 2,000 faith points in total. Today Qin Guang could be considered to have made a killing. After finishing this, Qin Guang had dinner with the particularly enthusiastic old man Tan. Originally he planned to go to the special police training area with the excuse of strengthening the training and catch up with Wu Tong. However, when he heard that Wu Tong was sent outside to participate in a secret mission that was close to the special training graduation exam, he changed his mind at the last minute. He stood the police training area up and went back to his dorm to take out his computer. After hesitating for a long time he finally decided to call his dad. In fact, he had talked to Wenwen before and asked her if there was a need to make everyone close to him more vigilant. However, Wenwen said that it was not necessary. The reason was very simple. If the other party really wanted to attack an ordinary family, it would be useless even if they ran to the ends of the earth, and it would be impossible to guard against it. Now she was already at the level of Wenzhong. Once a martial artist reached this level, they would be at the top of the pyramid in Jianghu. Even if there were masters at the same level as her, they wouldn't dare to say that they could defeat her, who had the Wen family's verdant red scroll. Before she determined the winner between herself and the other party wouldn't dare to attack the family of an outsider like Qin Guang. Moreover, Qin Guang's identity in the secular world was special enough. He was the grandson-in-law of the Jin family. If the other party harmed his family, it would be a taboo in Jianghu, and it would also affect the tacit understanding between Jianghu and the court. Killing in Jianghu was, after all, just a small conflict within one's own. But touching the son-in-law of a powerful political family in the outside world was almost equivalent to shedding all pretense of cordiality. Although Jianghu was strong, there was still a tacit understanding between the court and the court. This was also the reason why those inner-strength martial artists had only left a mark on many big shots over 10 years ago, but hadn't really killed anyone. Qin Guang had become the grandson-in-law of the Jin family by a freak combination of factors. On another level he had really become his protective talisman. This was something that Jin Shirihua hadn't thought of and no one had thought of. Qin Guang only realized it when Wenwen revealed the truth and analyzed the pros and cons. He was embarrassed. He owed more and more favors and owed more and more. He stayed in the Shun special training camp for 5 days. During these 5 days he would receive a fixed group of new students from all over the country almost every day. He would receive military elites 6 times and police elites twice. Among them he had trained nearly 30 dart-throwing disciples one after another. The average daily income of the ordinary students added up was also quite a lot. He had gained quite a lot. He heard that Old Man Tan was interested in separating the nearly 40 people who had mastered the special skill of darts to form a real top special forces team. These things weren't what Qin Guang was concerned about. He was having a headache because of another sudden discovery. What a scam. Lord Luli, I always thought I had a deep understanding of how unreliable you were, but only now do I realize that I was still too naive. Why didn't you say so earlier? Why didn't you tell me such an important thing earlier? Squatting under the giant Deerming flower in the world in the cup, Qin Guang wished he could smoke a cigarette to burn off his melancholy. It turned out that just now, his dart cup's production of faith had stopped at a very meaningful number after 5 consecutive days of skyrocketing. There were clearly more than 1,000 people below the stage who had just received his special training, and there were also 2 believers who could provide the greenish-gray halo of faith value threads, but the total production of faith value was stuck there and not moving at all. This subtle number was the daily production of 44,444. After realizing that the situation wasn't right, Qin Guang immediately entered the world in the cup after the training session ended. Lu Li then told him, "Congratulations on discovering a new continent." That's right, after the completion of the Spirit Celestial Cup, the production of faith was indeed limited. After that, it was the scene of Qin Guang facing Azure's roaring emperor. Lu Li chuckled, "Didn't I do this to give you a surprise?" A surprise but no joy. Qin Guang couldn't help but be furious. He had been complacently planning to rely on the special course of darts to reach the heavens in a single step, but this earth-shattering feat had just taken a step forward. How could he not be annoyed? "Didn't I give you a hint earlier?" "When?" "A few days ago when you wanted to rape Fei Fei about this, didn't I chuckle at you?" "That's called a hint." "What else? Do you really think that you can rely on a mere Spirit Celestial Cup to reach the heavens in a single step? Is there such a good thing? The Heavenly Sage Grail has a total of 9 heavens, and the Spirit Celestial Prodigy has just started. Their level is extremely low, and this world in the cup can't even be called a complete small world. The amount of faith it can hold is not much to begin with. At first, I thought that 40,000 would be the limit, but now it has stopped at 44,444. Although this number isn't very auspicious, it is already outside of my expectations. I really have to congratulate you." It was rare for Lu Li to explain so patiently. Qin Guang's heart gradually calmed down. She was right. "Sai, since you already knew, you should have told me earlier. Why are you trying to hide it from me? Use your mortal brain and think about it. Even someone in the 8th heaven of the Sea of Time will have 3 souls and 7 spirits incomplete. A mere Spirit Celestial Cup's world in the 1st level has already shrunk to such a state, and you still want to unleash its limitless power? You already know that I am immortal. Ordinary people would be greedy and insatiable, right? You also know that you are insatiable? Furthermore, if I tell you in advance, won't I just disappoint you 2 days in advance? What difference does it make if you know now?" Qin Guang glared at her. "You are the one in the right, I can't argue with you. But you are the one who guided me on my glorious path of defying the heavens. You can't just watch me struggle like this, can you? You have to do something to make up for my wounded heart, right? Recently, I really want to learn inner strength, but I always feel that it is a little embarrassing to have to learn mortal martial arts while guarding such a huge treasury of yours. Why don't you teach me an unparalleled divine technique that can repel gods and demons? Don't even think about it. Didn't you see that I even lost the lustrous feather robe for you? This was my favorite divine robe in the god realm. Do you know how many existences below the god emperor realm spent hundreds of millions of years to forge this divine robe? How many gods had their divine souls shattered because of this? Furthermore, you have only cultivated the Heavenly Sage Grail to the 2nd level, and you want to learn the techniques of gods? The godly power that comes out from my spit can also cause you to explode, alright? Your robe was obviously eaten by that flower. Why are you blaming me? Don't you see that I am even more miserable? My body, hair, and skin are all given by my parents. It is a sin to lose even an inch of skin. Now, I can even accept the miserable situation of being bald. What is a mere lustrous feather robe to me? Just as the two were chatting, suddenly Qin Guang and Liu Li froze at the same time. It turned out that the faith value of the dart cup, which originally stopped at 44,444 units per day, suddenly increased a little and became 44,445 units. What's going on? Liu Li looked confused. You don't know anything again. Qin Guang pointed at Liu Li's nose. Can you be a little more responsible? You're always like this, it makes me feel that my future is bleak and bleak. At this moment, Lu Minghua, who had been silent, suddenly spoke. I just grew a fresh tender leaf. Maybe it has something to do with this? Liu Li clapped her hands. Yes, that's the logic. Little wimp, let me tell you, the limit of your Dark Cup's world was originally 40,000, but this Empress planned ahead and summoned Deer Cry ahead of time. After a series of ingenious strategizing, I let the lively little deer replace your divine statue. Now, it is precisely because of the growth attribute of her plant characteristics and the profound connection she maintains with your Dark Cup's world, as long as her strength slowly recovers and strengthens, your Dark Cup's world of the lowest level will also obtain the potential to grow along with her. How is it? Does this Empress's meticulous planning still enter your eyes? Qin Guang, Lu Ming, Qin Guang and Lu Ming simultaneously recalled Liuli's completely dumbfounded expression when that unfortunate incident happened that day. Especially Lu Ming, who knew that Liuli's divine soul had been integrated into the Holy Grail, was the one who suffered the most. Now, she actually had the face to say that she had a meticulous planning. Even in the endless God realm, this ability to shamelessly lie with her eyes wide open was almost unparalleled. Sister Liuli, after all these years, your divine power hasn't improved at all. However, your shamelessness has broadened my horizons. Lu Ming really couldn't hold it in. Qin Guang also covered his face and looked like he was ashamed to be associated with her. Lord Liuli, you really don't have to flatter yourself like this. I already roughly know that you're a good-for-nothing. For a moment, she was actually looked down upon by two people at the same time. Liuli was really extremely embarrassed. She felt that she needed to do something to restore her image in Qin Guang's heart that was about to collapse. Her eyeballs rolled around and she carefully waited. Then, rather reluctantly, she thought about the tycoon computer that she had placed in the center of Cloud City and made a shocking decision. Are you looking down on me? She glared fiercely at Qin Guang and asked. Qin Guang shook his head. There's no such thing. This lowly one can look down on anyone but you. You're a dignified God Emperor, the greatest existence below the Master God in the Endless God Realm. Among the many God Emperors in the Endless God Realm, you're also the strongest God Emperor who ranks at the top. Whoever dares to blaspheme your dignity as your savior, I will not live under the same sky with them. I will definitely tear them to pieces. Liuli really couldn't say a word for a long time. Clearly, every word that this guy said was so pleasant to listen to, but when it came to her ears, it just sounded so strange. You, Lord Liuli, you're responsible for meticulous planning. This lowly one is responsible for charging and breaking through the enemy lines. Shut up. Am I not sincere? Shut up. Don't you want to learn inner strength? This old lady will help you. Liuli finally said this sentence. Qin Guang immediately sat cross-legged and meditated. Come, please enlighten me. Enlighten your face. You're just a mortal now, so don't even think about this old lady's divine power. Right now, this emperor is also trapped in the Holy Grail and can't even protect myself, so how can I impart any power to you? You don't need this emperor's power imparting either. In the future you'll understand. It's just that it's not time yet. Liuli slapped his head. Qin Guang was shocked. What? Could it be that the old man has a divine power? I have a question that I've been hiding in my heart for a long time. Quickly tell me, am I the reincarnation of some super expert? Was I at least a god emperor in my previous life? Liuli said, I feel that I'm almost unable to communicate with you normally. From now on you better shut up. Otherwise, I can't guarantee that I won't accidentally strangle you to death. Seeing that Qin Guang had finally become obedient, Liuli rolled her eyes and said, Do you really think that inner strength is like cabbages in this world? This emperor will explain it to you like this. The abilities that can be trained in the middle realm of the Heavenly Spirit Cup are basically focused on the body's functions. To put it simply, most of them are based on the body's most instinctive reactions. Even if you've mastered these skills, you still don't know how to do it. It's just like how you can play the piano but don't know how to compose a song. As for Dota, rather than saying that the realm in the middle realm of the Heavenly Spirit Cup awakened your gaming talent, it's better to say that you have the aptitude for it. It's just that you're naturally mischievous and have never been forced to train hard. The realm in the middle realm of the Heavenly Spirit Cup only allows you to bring out the coordination of your heart, hands, and eyes to the extreme. Playing that game relies more on yourself. However, when you reach the middle realm of the Heavenly Spirit Cup, the skills that you can learn can be combined with a certain degree of thinking ability. For example, you can learn acting skills that you've always wanted to learn but couldn't learn, or the knowledge and skills of composing music. When you advance to the third level, Heavenly Spirit Cup, you can comprehensively improve your thinking ability. For example, the knowledge of doing business, you need to understand people's hearts and have a keen eye to understand the market. You also need to learn how to control the overall situation, know how to use people well, and even more so, you need to have the courage to make decisions and act boldly. You need to become one of the 3 types of merchants that Sister Lufei once told you about. However, inner strength involves even more profound mysteries of the human body. It's beyond the level of thinking in the body. If you want to use the Heavenly Spirit Cup's realm in the middle realm of the Heavenly Spirit Cup to practice the One Family's painting scroll, you need to at least reach the 4th level, Heavenly Spirit Cup. What the hell? The 4th level, Heavenly Spirit Cup? Are you King kidding me? Alright, you don't need to say any more. I know that this is a part of my lifetime. Right now, I don't even know when this Heavenly Spirit Cup will end. What's with the 4th level Heavenly Spirit Cup? I won't say anything else. I'll go to heaven first. After I die of old age, remember to write an epitaph on my grave. I wanted to ascend to heaven but failed, so I ascended to heaven first. I hope that I won't be cheated in my next life. Lioli took a deep breath for a long time before she resisted the urge to beat him up. She gritted her teeth and said word by word, "Didn't I just tell you? Help. How do I help? With my life. Don't worry about anything else for now. Just follow your original plan and train your body to perfection, then we'll talk about the next step. You actually dare to look down on me? I'll let you have a taste of what it means to be a super cool one-stop service." After Qin Guang left, Dear Cry asked in bewilderment, "Sister Lioli, do we really have to work so hard?" Lioli grunted, "We have no choice but to do so. He's too good at tossing and turning. If we really let him go against those mortals who have mastered elementary inner strength with his current level, I'm afraid he might really fail miserably. When that time comes, I might not be able to protect him. It's better to let him become stronger first." But, no buts. Before, I indeed didn't have much confidence, but now that a wisp of my soul has integrated into the heavenly Holy Grail, I can just barely give it a try. Alright, good luck. Dear Cry twisted his body and chuckled. Can you say something more auspicious? Do your best, Sister Lioli. After exiting the Cup Realm, Qin Guang originally planned to say goodbye to Old Man Tan. In the past few days, the effects of his special darts training had been getting worse and worse. There were only so many top-notch military experts in the country, and he had already trained thousands of people. The people he found later couldn't keep up with the basic training, and it wasn't easy for them to awaken as believers, so it would be a bit of a waste of time if he continued. Moreover, he was actually quite selfish. It was quite boring to do things that didn't benefit him. Must you really leave? Old Man Tan pulled Qin Guang reluctantly. Qin Guang nodded and said with a solemn expression, "Those of us who comprehend the Tao through darts act bravely and diligently, and the most important thing is fate. We must not stay stagnant for too long. The path of enlightenment is just like rowing a boat against the current. If you don't move forward, you'll fall behind. Last night, I observed the stars and saw that Venus was flickering. This constellation is reminding me that it's time to leave. These few days of accompanying the soldiers day and night is also a blessing in my heart, but for now, our fate has come to an end, and there's nothing I can do about it. There will be a time in the future when we meet again. General Tan, you don't have to feel sentimental." Old Man Tan's hand that was tugging on Qin Guang's sleeve couldn't help but tremble, and he turned his face away. Damn it, what am I feeling sentimental about? This little kid has been acting like a charlatan for too long these few days, and he's almost into it. If Old Man Jean finds out that I've caused his grandson-in-law to end up like this, will he come after me? No, I have to let him recover some of his humanity. Since I have a dinner meeting tonight, why don't I drag him over to meet him? The more Tan Zhaohua thought about it, the more he felt it made sense. He had seen Qin Guang's selfless contribution these days and remembered it in his heart. His impression of this generous young man who didn't ask for anything in return could be said to have improved by leaps and bounds. Old Man Tan only felt that he had done enough for this country, and it could be considered as opening a door to heaven for soldiers to practice extraordinary skills. Although what he taught was only darts, what he and the instructors in the special training camp had learned these days was his extraordinary special training philosophy. Moreover, he was the grandson-in-law of the Jean family, and now was indeed the time to take him to see the world. Presumably, Old Man Jean would also be grateful to him. Tan Zhaohua thought so, and he pulled Qin Guang even more tightly. You can leave if you want, but let's go to Yanjing to have a meal first. Just think of it as me sending you off, okay? Do we need to go to Yanjing just to have a meal? Qin Guang was puzzled. Tan Zhaohua rolled his eyes. Anyway, won't you have to go to the airport in the western suburbs of Yanjing to return to Wujing? It's on the way. Chapter 566. In the face of Old Man Tan's enthusiasm, Qin Guang couldn't resist. Alright. General Tan, please don't pull my clothes. I'll go, alright? Even if Qin Guang was beaten to death, he would never imagine the consequences of his decision. Then again, he regretted it roughly 5 hours later. It was rare for him to be in the same bus as Tan Zhaohua. By the time they arrived in Beijing, it was already past 5 in the afternoon. When you go up later, you may see some people that you usually don't see, but you don't have to be too nervous. They have almost heard of your name and have a good impression of you. Relax and act like a young man. Do what you should do and don't be restrained. Before getting off the bus, Tan Zhaohua helped Chen Guang straighten his collar and said, "Actually, I wanted you to come in a military uniform." What happened to the meal? Chen Guang felt like he had been tricked. Tan Zhaohua smiled. "It's just a meal. I told you not to be nervous. Just relax. You keep telling me to relax. You're clearly hinting that there are a lot of big shots up there." Chen Guang turned around to leave. He wasn't afraid of big shots, but he was afraid of a specific person. It was Jin Shiyue's grandfather who attacked him after the concert last time. God knows if that old man was up there. Tan Zhaohua was not willing to let him go just like that. He grabbed him tightly and said, "You stinking brat, don't get me into trouble. Before I came here, I told those old guys that I would bring our little hero here to let everyone know him. Now that you're gone, how am I going to explain it to them? Won't my old bones die from drinking it to death today? Listen to me. You're no longer an outsider. I know you don't like to be controlled by others, but meeting people and leaving an impression won't do you any harm, right? It'll be more convenient for you to do whatever you want in the future." "I don't think so. I'm just a commoner. This kind of national affair naturally needs talented young talents to contribute. I won't blindly meddle in it. I'll just live my own simple life." But in the end he still went up. He really couldn't bear to see Tan Zhaohua so aggrieved at his age. There was another factor that prompted him to make this decision. Tan Zhaohua originally wanted to bring him to the table of a group of old men, but seeing that he refused in every way, he told him the truth. Other than the main hall where the old people gathered, there was also a side hall where the young people sat. "When we get there later, if you really don't want to sit with us old men, I'll arrange a seat for you at the young people's table in the side hall. You can come over to say hello and walk around. I heard that old Master Jean hasn't been feeling well for the past 2 days, so I don't think he'll really come." Tan Zhaohua reassured Chen Guang and he accepted it with a smile. Under the guidance of the guards, the group passed through the garden-like house and went straight inside. Chen Guang was also speechless on the way. With the land price in Yanjing, one could enjoy such a large garden-like hotel? This was very domineering and classy. Yanjing in August was still a bit hot during the day, but at this time of night, the forest path revealed a cool and elegant atmosphere. A few large lotus leaves grew in the roadside pond, and under the reflection of the moonlight, a few thick and colorful shadows were sprinkled on the water surface. It was unknown whether it was the sound of frogs or toads coming from the side of the pond. It wasn't noisy but had a different kind of charm. Under such a quiet and charming scenery, Chen Guang keenly discovered the guards in camouflage in the shadows of a few small trees. The seemingly loose but actually strict security here revealed the tip of the iceberg in front of him. As if sensing the change in Chen Guang's temperament, Tan Zhaohua, who was walking next to him, said quite casually, "2 more steps and we'll be there." He pointed to the orange-tiled roof that vaguely peeked through the gaps in the bushes in front of them. "It's rare for the old men to gather together today, so the security work is more serious than usual. Don't mind it. When we arrive, I'll ask the guards to take you to the youth hall. When it's about time, I'll come and call you or we'll come and say hello. Don't run away in the middle of eating, remember?" As the two approached, a group of old men were quietly hiding behind the wooden lattice window and peeking at the intersection. Looked quite funny. "What are you looking at? Look at how disrespectful you all are. Don't you feel embarrassed if outsiders see you?" An old man was blowing his beard and glaring at the group of people who were leaning against the window. "Haha, old Jean, you also have a day where you feel embarrassed? So what if everyone wants to see your grandson-in-law? I think this young man is not bad. He's presentable and not embarrassing." Jiang Ye's grandfather teased. "I'm too lazy to talk to you. I just feel that Xiao Tan shouldn't have pulled him over today. My Jean family doesn't have that many rules. Young people are responsible for their own affairs. It's too early to rush to meet him." Who knew that a certain someone rushed out from home to rush to his granddaughter's celebration party a few days ago and caught a cold. Today he ran over with a runny nose and a gluttonous appetite? What are you after? Old Jiang, do you really have to ruin my show? Both of you stop talking. Today I asked Xiao Tan to call Chen Guang over because he's helped us a lot in Shun these days. There are too many people here, so don't let him come over later. Old Jiang, take 2 people to the youth hall and have a drink with him. Say hello and ask the other young people to help out. That's enough. Jiang Ye's grandfather was unhappy. Why? I shouldn't overstep my authority to drink with him. It should be old Jean, right? Right? Isn't that right, everyone? The other old men followed suit and ridiculed old Master Jean. That's right. Old Jean, it's rare for you and your granddaughter to gather in the same courtyard. You have to go and say hello. Otherwise he might think that you have something against him. Be careful that your granddaughter doesn't like you. Old Master Jean was egged on by everyone. Actually, he was quite tempted too. Alright, I'll go. What's there to be afraid of? I'm not like you guys who like to order the younger generation around. What's the big deal about drinking? He won't be scared if he gets to know me. Alright, then it's settled. We'll go together later, old Jiang said cheerfully. Jiang Ye's grandfather didn't know that the one who should be giving a toast wasn't old Master Jean, but himself. Otherwise how could he be so smug? Let me tell you guys. That brother of mine is the almighty superhuman Qin Guang on the internet. He's also Jean Shiyue's boyfriend. You guys know him, right? Yes. How could I not know? He's so famous. Hey, you don't say. He's really amazing. At that time the two pianists were injured. All of us thought that we were done for and that the concert couldn't go on. There were two pianos there but no one was playing them. There were many pianists accompanying the songs later on. What should we do about the concert? What do you guys think we should do? Lin Jingwei sat at the big round table in the youth hall. He was beaming with joy and looked like a storyteller. The others were also interested in what he said. They were all familiar with each other. Naturally, there were people who supported Lin Jingwei. Brother Jingwei, just say it. Don't leave us hanging halfway. That's right. Brother Jingwei, why are you like the storyteller in the tavern in the TV dramas? Lin Jingwei lightly slapped the table. At that time my brother Guang stood up and said, I'll do it. A high school girl with braided hair covered her mouth and laughed. Brother Jingwei, look at what you're saying. I thought Uncle Guping said, I'll do it. Don't tell me that your brother Guang is Baldy Wuku? Lin Jingwei stared. What are you saying? Although brother Guang's name has the word light in it, his hair is as lush as the small forest behind the South Sea Court. Let's not talk about his hair. At that time we all knew that he could play the piano. Very good, the problem of one piano was solved. But there were two pianos on the stage. They needed two pianos to accompany them. One person was not enough. In the end he still said, I'll do it. And then this guy exploded. He actually played two pianos by himself. He really played them off the stage. Look, I was below the stage at that time and recorded the whole thing. What do you think? Awesome, right? Lin Jingwei took out his phone and sent it to these people one by one. His father had said not to stay at home all day. If word got out, people would gossip and say that old Lin's son was a good-for-nothing. It was fine if he didn't join the military or politics, but if he became a shut-in after studying, it would be a disgrace to the Lin family. Since he was already here, he might as well take things as they came. Although he didn't like this scene since he was dragged here today, he had to put on a good show. He had to become the center of the conversation at the table. He showed the video of Qin Guang to these people. Actually, it could be considered as laying a foundation for Qin Guang's future. With his face and introduction, everyone present also knew that this Qin Guang and I, Lin Jingwei, have a close relationship. Let's put our relationship aside for now. Who knows when we might be able to help each other in the future. We still have a long life ahead of us. It had to be said that in this aspect, although Lin Jingwei always treated Qin Guang as his boss in the dormitory, he was actually more stable and steady. Everyone watched the video. Actually, some of them had watched the live broadcast of the concert at home and knew that the prince consort of the Jean family was in the limelight that day. However, they still cooperated and put on a look of amazement. The girl who said that Qin Guang was bald, Wuku teased, this brother Guang's hair is really lush. He's quite handsome. Oh right, didn't brother Bai say he was coming? Why isn't he here yet? Another person asked Lin Jingwei. Lin Jingwei shook his head. Just now he said he still had a meeting at the company. I don't know when he'll be done. Brother Bai isn't as free as we are now. He's the vice president of Tianjin Group. In his heart, he was thinking that it was good that he wasn't coming. Recently, he had been pestering him to the point of breaking down. That good brother of his was obsessed with Qin Yu. Chapter 567. By the way, Secretary Chu just placed an extra chair, bowls and chopsticks here. Who was it? I didn't hear anyone come back. A young man who was sitting next to Lin Jingwei said unhappily. He was originally sitting next to Lin Jingwei, but because of the extra chair, his seat was forcibly moved to the side. The empty seat on Lin Jingwei's right, which was the seat in the middle of the large round table facing the screen, was reserved for Bai Hua. The old people had their own ways of doing things, and the youngsters also had their own ways of doing things. In China's dining culture, the arrangement of the chairs and seats was quite unique. These youngsters who were born in rich families understood the meaning of it since they were young. Lin Jingwei shook his head in confusion. I'm not sure. At this moment, the door of the youth hall was pushed open. A familiar voice came from outside the door Lin Jingwei was familiar with. You're here, right? Yes, Instructor Qin. Please come with me. Your seat has been arranged for you. As Secretary Chu spoke, he ushered the person in from the outside. A shiny bald head was the first to enter the youth hall. They felt that the entire room had brightened up with this person's entrance. Lin Jingwei's eyes widened. Oh my god, Brother Guang, why are you here? Your hairstyle is a bit too domineering. He silently turned his face away, trying hard not to laugh out loud. Damn it, he was just blowing on his beautiful hair. You really know how to make things difficult for me. When did you become Wuku? Can't you at least give me a greeting? The high school girl from before was the first to break down. She was obviously a veteran of 2D video sites. She was quite quick-witted and had a rather carefree personality. She slammed the table repeatedly. Wuku. It's really Wuku. Qin Guang turned his head and glanced at the girl before he awkwardly followed Secretary Chu to sit beside Lin Jingwei. At the same time, he was feeling unhappy in his heart. This girl wasn't giving him any face at all. Even if my hairstyle is really that ferocious, is there a need for you to slap the table and call me Wuku? Do you think I don't understand that joke? I'm also an old hand, okay? These rich second generations are more unruly and difficult to get along with than I thought. Sure enough, not every second and third generation is as mature and sensible as Lin Jingwei and Bai Hua. No, Bai Hua is poisonous. Lin Jingwei saw that Qin Guang's expression was not very happy. He also realized that this joke might not have come at the right time. Brother Guang, don't misunderstand. I was just bragging to everyone that you said, I'll do it, before you went to play the piano at the concert. Didn't people think of Wuku because of that? You also have the word, light, in your name. I'm really not targeting you. The little girl also laughed. She held her stomach and explained to Qin Guang. Qin Guang saw that she looked quite obedient, so he did not hold it against her. Seeing that he had acquaintances here, Secretary Chu, who originally wanted to help introduce him, tactfully retreated. With Lin Jingwei bringing Qin Guang into the circle, there was nothing for him to do as a secretary. With Lin Jingwei's introduction, Qin Guang greeted these second and third generation people one by one. As for the polite words like, take care of each other for the first time, he did not take it to heart. Everything else was good, but Qin Guang felt that the young man on his left was a little strange. He said something like, the matter between Sister Shirui and Brother Qin Guang has become a legend in our circle. A gifted scholar with a beautiful woman is really a perfect match. Now that Sister Shirui is not big or small in our country, she's almost on the same level as the Heavenly Empress. How does Brother Qin Guang plan to cooperate with Sister Shirui in the future? Although he said gifted scholar with a beautiful woman, he was secretly mocking Qin Guang for relying on Jin Shirui to rise to the top. Qin Guang ignored him and turned to ask Lin Jingwei, what's your relationship with this young man? This person was stunned. He did not expect Qin Guang to not play by the rules. He was the same as Bai Hua. He was also a child who grew up watching Jin Shirui grow up like a porcelain doll. He also had some feelings for her, so he had investigated quite a bit about Qin Guang. Today he was already unhappy that Qin Guang had stolen his seat. Now it was as if there was a fish bone stuck in his throat. He planned to use this as an excuse to embarrass Qin Guang a little, to vent the hatred in his heart that his goddess and his seat had been stolen. But Qin Guang's reaction was completely out of his expectations. He could not help but look at Lin Jingwei with some worry. Lin Jingwei first glanced at the young man, then curled his lips indifferently, just as so. Qin Guang was delighted. Since this person wasn't Lin Zi's friend, then there's no need for him to give face. He turned around and smiled at the young man before casually spitting out, what does it have to do with you? He had come here today not because he was Jin Shiryua's boyfriend, but because Old Tan had invited him as a guest. Why would he be bullied by a bunch of kids? I'm sorry, but I can't do that. The young man was shocked by Qin Guang's four-syllable mantra, but Lin Jingwei's cold gaze from time to time gave him goosebumps. He did not dare to flare up and only smiled awkwardly. Brother Qin Guang, you really know how to joke. Qin Guang did not want to make the atmosphere too tense, so he casually laughed it off. It's all right, it's all right. After this brief interlude, the main table in the private room next door began to move their chopsticks. Naturally, the youth lounge followed suit. Initially, Qin Guang was worried that his meal would be too boring. Fortunately, Lin Jingwei was right next to him. The two of them chatted as if there was no one else around, so he did not feel embarrassed. It was just that Lin Jingwei's words were not very pleasant to listen to. Seriously, Brother Guang, are you going to do something big? Lin Jingwei asked as he picked up the monkey head mushroom with his chopsticks. Why do you suddenly ask? Qin Guang felt that the game in front of him was not bad, so he continued to eat it. The ancients always said that by cutting it, one's ambition will be discovered. You cut it so cleanly, aren't you a little too ambitious? Where did you go to cut it? It's too clean. Even the stubble on your scalp is gone. My goodness, I feel that when school starts, we won't need to turn on the lights in our dormitory at night. As Lin Jingwei spoke, he could not help but secretly raise his hand and touch the top of Qin Guang's head. Then, with an intoxicated look on his face, he said, "Oh my God, it feels so good to touch it. I can't control my hand at all. If you touch it again, I'll break all 5 of your fingers, damn it." Liuli had touched his head when he first became bald, and now little Lin was touching it again. He estimated that he would have to receive many distinguished guests with his bald head, so he might as well expand his business. Touching for 10 yuan, he could make a fortune with this bald head alone. Don't do it. You won't lose a piece of flesh from touching it. Be more generous. Lin Jingwei really could not control his hand. Qin Guang was annoyed by his touch, so he grabbed his disobedient, lecherous hand and smacked it twice on the back of his hand with his silver chopsticks, making little Lin grit his teeth in pain. The others at the table were stunned. Why was Brother Jingwei so easy to talk to today? Lin Jingwei did not feel embarrassed at all. He still stared at Qin Guang's head covetously, but seeing that Qin Guang was on guard, he did not dare to make another move in the end. Lin Jingwei knew that he could no longer pretend to be a pig with a spring onion stuck in his nose on the table today, but he did not care. It was not a problem for him to put on airs in front of others at the table, but he really could not pretend to be a college roommate for 3 years in front of Qin Guang. Of course, if he did not want to make a move on Qin Guang, but if he quietly said hello to Qin Guang and let Qin Guang flatter him today, it would not be a problem for him to sit on the throne of the most mature and stable second generation in the youth hall today. Alright, don't embarrass yourself in public. Even if you don't find it embarrassing, I would feel embarrassed. Qin Guang quietly glared at Lin Jingwei. He was an old monster himself, so he could still understand the ways of the world on the table. He did not care, but he could not embarrass Lin Jingwei. Lin Jingwei chuckled, okay. Then he quietly took out his phone and took a picture of Qin Guang from behind, then sent it to the class group chat. Damn it, this guy is hopeless. Qin Guang rolled his eyes and really did not want to talk to him anymore. He reached his chopsticks into the soup bowl in the middle of the turntable and picked up a large piece of Longjing bamboo fungus. He had loved eating bamboo fungus since he was a child, but in the past year, his family was so poor that he could not eat it even if he wanted to. What was placed on the table must be the work of a great chef, so it would be a shame not to take the opportunity to eat it. He was just a little strange. From the time everyone started eating until now, it seemed that no one else had touched the bamboo fungus in the soup bowl. Perhaps these second and third generations were used to eating delicacies and did not take it seriously. When everyone saw his action, they were stunned at first, then they watched him take a large piece of bamboo fungus from the bowl and put it in his bowl to eat. As soon as the bamboo fungus entered his mouth, those who knew immediately knew whether it was good or not. The fresh and sweet fragrance of top-grade Longjing tea wrapped around the crispy and refreshing bamboo fungus. When he gently chewed it, a different kind of sweet and rich fragrance assailed his nose, from the tongue all the way to the back of his throat. Qin Guang slightly narrowed his eyes and thought to himself, this taste of bamboo fungus seems to be the best quality of Zijin. The last time he had eaten Zijin bamboo fungus, it was when his family was not short of money that his father specially went to his old comrade's place to buy it. It was said that it was specially provided, and the people in the place of origin could not eat it. When he finished eating this large piece of bamboo fungus, he did not think too much about it. Just as he was about to continue eating, the guy sitting on his left coughed lightly. He really did not know what to say. When Qin Guang saw everyone looking at him eagerly, he turned to ask Lin Jingwei, Is there anything special about this pot of soup? Lin Jingwei rolled his eyes and laughed. It's nothing. It's placed on the table for everyone to eat. Eat. As he said that, he also picked up a small piece of Longjing bamboo fungus with his chopsticks and put it in his bowl. In his heart he was saying, Brother Xiaobai, I'm sorry. I originally wanted to leave some for you, but Brother Guang did not know about it. He picked up more than half of it for you. Let's just forget about it later. When the others saw this, they knew that Lin Jingwei was saving the situation. Although they were quite nervous, they each picked up a small piece of bamboo fungus. Before they even walked around, the pot of Longjing bamboo fungus had been cleared. Finally, the high school girl from before said nervously, Brother Xiaobai spent a lot of effort to get this bamboo fungus. He loves it the most. He didn't even say that he won't be coming tonight and we've already finished it. Wait a while, cough cough cough. Lin Jingwei's throat felt uncomfortable again. Eat your food. Why are you so troublesome? Brother Xiaobai? Qin Guang was also afraid. Bai Hua is coming? He left some food for him? Lin Jingwei had no choice but to nod. He should be coming. But let's just eat it. It doesn't matter. When everyone saw this, they thought that this Qin Guang was really fearless, but it turned out that he was afraid of brother Xiaobai. They did not guess wrong. Qin Guang was indeed afraid of Bai Hua, afraid that he would fall in love with him. Chapter 568. He gulped down a few mouthfuls of food at lightning speed, completely forgetting about old Mantan's instructions. Gently pushing the bowl on the table, Qin Guang patted on Lin Jingwei's shoulder and muttered, "I'm not feeling well, so I'll take my leave first." Other people thought that he had mistakenly eaten Bai Hua's food and felt guilty, but Lin Jingwei knew what was going on. He said, "What if Grandpa Tan comes looking for you later?" Qin Guang shrugged. "I can eat any day. I'm annoyed when I see him. Today's not the right time. It's better to leave first." Lin Jingwei empathized with him. "Sigh. I've been suffering from Brother Bai for the past few days. Why don't I go with you?" Just as the two of them were discussing how to escape, the door of the youth hall was pushed open again. It was Bai Hua. He smiled apologetically and cupped his hands at the people inside. "Everyone, I'm so sorry. Things at the company were really troublesome and I couldn't leave. Thank you for making it." Lin Jingwei and Qin Guang, who were about to get up, looked at each other helplessly. They couldn't leave. Everyone got up and greeted Bai Hua. Among the younger generation, Bai Hua, who entered Cambridge at the age of 16, had an extremely high status. Not only because of his family background but also because of the potential and strength he showed. Geniuses were respected everywhere, not to mention a genius with a strong background. Bai Hua also walked in and went straight to the middle of the round table. His seat had always been the leader's seat. It had never changed in the past 2 years. He looked up and was about to greet Lin Jingwei, but he saw Qin Guang sitting next to Lin Jingwei with a straight face. Bai Hua's expression froze. He quickly pretended not to see Qin Guang and casually greeted Lin Jingwei. "I heard there were a lot of people here tonight. I almost didn't believe it, but seeing you dressed so well, I knew Secretary Chu wasn't lying." Bai Hua was actually in a good mood. If he had a chance to meet the elders later, he would be able to show off. After being in Tianjin for so long, he finally did something practical. Tonight, after several days of wrangling with the 3 Arabian companies, including changing the language of negotiation, changing the translator, excluding Aolan Company on the grounds of unfair competition, quietly cutting off the tentacles extended by the other vice president who was trying to set him up, and reintroducing the 3rd company, after a series of torturous events, the preliminary negotiations finally began. As the vice president of Tianjin Energy, Bai Hua had a lot of responsibilities on his shoulders. In the eyes of outsiders, he was young and promising. His starting point was so high that it made others envious, but only he knew how he felt. As the young master of the Bai family, sitting in this position, there would always be countless pairs of eyes staring at him. If he made a mistake, not only would he be crushed to pieces, but his career would also be affected. For someone like him, if his career stagnated for a year or two, he would lose every step, and the height he could reach in the future would be affected. The proud Bai Hua would never allow himself to fail, even if it was just a stain on his career. It was all thanks to Qin Yu that he was able to turn this misfortune into a blessing. During the half-an-hour car ride from the company to here, he didn't think about the negotiations from the afternoon until now. All he could think about was Qin Yu, the international supermodel. She was tall, cold, rational and talented. She was aggressive at the negotiating table but reasonable. What a perfect model of a strong woman. As a woman, Qin Yu should be an A-. Her chest size should be a fatal flaw, but Bai Hua didn't care about it. After living abroad for so long, he had seen all kinds of supermodels. He didn't like women with big breasts but no brains. Besides, how many of the top supermodels in the world weren't flat-chested? How could he conquer the world with an uneven chest? Most importantly, there had never been a woman who could make my heart beat so fast the first time I met her, and I couldn't breathe. That's right, she must be the one that I've looked back at thousands of times in my previous life in exchange for a passing encounter in this life. Only someone with her talent and temperament can bring out the best in me, Bai Hua. I should be happy that I was born in the modern world. It's not difficult to find someone. As long as I don't give up, sooner or later, I can turn this passing fate into a lifelong marriage. Come on. Bai Hua. He clenched his fists to cheer himself on. With such a mood, Bai Hua sat down and tidied up his napkin while patting Lin Jingwei on his left. He whispered, Jingwei, do you still remember what happened last time? Today we're going to talk about the aftermath of that matter. It's almost done. Thanks to your and Shin Yu's help. To be honest, you should pity me. When are you going to help me ask her out again? Don't worry, I won't show any unnecessary affection in front of her. I won't make her feel uncomfortable. Just treat it as an ordinary dinner between friends. Even if the fire in my heart burns even brighter, I will definitely hide it, okay? Didn't you say she wants to start a business? I've been asking people to pay attention to the Industry and Commerce Bureau, but I haven't seen any company registered by the name of Chen Yu. Lin Jingwei nearly spat out the water he was drinking. Brother Bai, aren't you a bit too much? You even went to the Industry and Commerce Bureau to check on someone? Besides, what the hell are you hiding? I believe in your acting skills, but the problem is that the main character is sitting right next to me. He can hear every word you say clearly. Also, this bastard is pinching my thigh, okay? It hurts. It hurts so much. Lin Jingwei was also miserable. There was a tiger on his left and a wolf on his right. He was like a meat sandwich between the two villains. Okay, let's not talk about this. I'm starving. Let's eat something to moisten our stomach first. Bai Hua said. He picked up the bowl and went to the Longjing bamboo fungus in the middle of the table. Let me tell you, this bamboo fungus is the best product grown by Zijin's family. This year's harvest is not good. The whole country's total output is only a few caddies. Most of it was given to me to show filial respect to the elders. Tonight's pot is the last bowl of this year. Then he stirred the pot of soup with his chopsticks for a long time. It was empty. There was not even a single strand of hair. This. Bai Hua was stunned. It really wasn't that he wanted to show off how great he was, but those who were familiar with him all knew how much he loved bamboo fungus. Besides, this pot of soup was provided by him, so it was reasonable to wait for him to arrive before everyone started to divide it. It was enough for everyone to eat a piece and have a taste, but what was the point of this? My bamboo fungus. I didn't even leave a single piece of it. Chen Guang remained silent from beginning to end. He only cared about filling his stomach. In any case, he acted as if it was none of his business. His mind was filled with Bai Hua's words. The fire in his heart was burning. He did not know why, but whenever he thought of those words, his stomach would feel uncomfortable. He had to eat some soup to calm his nerves. Jingwei, what's going on? Bai Hua turned his head and asked Lin Jingwei. He also saw the flickering eyes of the other people at the table. In this situation, asking Lin Jingwei was the most appropriate. Asking someone else would make him seem overbearing. Lin Jingwei coughed lightly. It's all my fault. I didn't think too much and started eating first. I'll take the blame. Lin Jingwei thought with tears in his eyes. If this matter ended here, then although Bai Hua was a little unhappy with today's meal, he would not have any opinion on Lin Jingwei taking the blame. Under normal circumstances, even if Lin Jingwei expressed his stance, no one would expose him. However, there was an exception. It was the nitpicky boy Xin Yuliang who had been sitting on the left side of Qin Guang. All the children in the courtyard knew that Bai Hua liked Jin Shiyue. But now, his favorite Longjing bamboo fungus had been snatched away by a nameless internet celebrity, Qin Guang. If he did not stir up trouble, how could he face the fact that he had a crush on Jin Shiyue behind Bai Hua's back for so many years? Even if this would make Lin Jingwei unhappy, as long as he could make Qin Guang and Bai Hua fight, it would be worth it. Xin Yuliang clenched his teeth and made up his mind. It was a pity that he did not know that Bai Hua had a change of heart. Brother Jingwei, isn't this clearly eaten by Qin Guang? Xin Yuliang poked his head out and stared at everyone. Lin Jingwei and Bai Hua's faces stiffened. Everyone at the table felt their hearts tighten. In fact, when Lin Jingwei took the pot, Bai Hua had already guessed it. He had planned to use this opportunity to get out of the situation, but he did not expect Xin Yuliang to say it out loud. Qin Guang saw that he could no longer hide it. He first glanced at Xin Yuliang, who was sitting on his left, and gently put down his chopsticks. I ate it. Tasted pretty good. I only ate one of your dishes. It's not like I know you have a lot of problems. You want me to apologize to you in public? This time, the situation at the table became very interesting. Brother Xiaobai's beloved was snatched away first, and the dish he liked was snatched away on the dining table. It was the same as giving you a slap and then spitting on your face. Something bad was going to happen. Frankly speaking, everyone felt that it was reasonable for Qin Guang to apologize to Bai Hua for such a small matter. But when they thought about the love-rival relationship between the two of them because of Jin Shiyue, It seemed that he could not apologize. Otherwise it would look like he was admitting defeat in public. This was difficult. Shen Yuliang's words had placed Qin Guang and Bai Hua on the fire. Don't look down on the fact that they're all youngsters. None of them were easy to deal with. Lin Jingwei suppressed his anger and glared fiercely at Shen Yuliang. He quickly explained, "Brother Bai, don't be angry. Brother Guang suddenly called Grandpa Tan over today. I don't know what you like. There's no other meaning." Bai Hua looked at Qin Guang and slowly sat down. "It's good that you like it. I'll specially make some for you next time." Although everyone could hear the anger in his voice, he actually held it in. Qin Guang also laughed. "Thank you, Brother Bai Hua. To tell you the truth, I've loved to eat this since I was a child. Just now I was excited to see it. I haven't eaten it for almost a year, so I'm craving it." His words also gave Bai Hua an explanation. At this point, it was almost time for the matter to come to an end. Shen Yuliang came again. This time he finally pulled out a heavy bomb. "Qin Guang, you've been running the internet for the past year, right? The income of a driver isn't that good. It's because you can't afford to eat bamboo shoots. What a coincidence. I have some shares in the internet company. Some time ago, I heard that there was a top driver in Wujing who suddenly stopped doing business. I took a look at him. He seems to have the same name and looks as Qin Guang. It's just that he has hair on his ID," he said with a fake smile. But in his heart he sneered. "Didn't you just say it's none of my business? What does it have to do with me where you're at? Speaking of which, some people's luck is really good. They ran the internet and were lucky enough to save Sister Shiyue's life. They even saved themselves from becoming a hot internet celebrity. I'm really envious of them." With these words he completely shed all pretense of cordiality. Anyway, Qin Guang's love rival Bai Hua was here. Shen Yuliang went all out. He pointed out Qin Guang's previous poor identity and ridiculed him for relying on Jin Shiyue to become famous. At the same time he reminded everyone that Brother Bai Hua's sister Shiyue had been snatched away. Lin Jingwei slammed his chopsticks on the table. "Shen Yuliang, are you still going to eat today? If not, then get out." Bai Hua's situation was even more awkward. Everyone present knew that he used to care about Jin Shiyue. But now he really had a change of heart. He had already clearly told Qin Guang that he wished Jin Shiyue to find true happiness. In fact, there was nothing between him and Jin Shiyue. He also didn't want Lin Jingwei to turn around and tell Qin Yu that he still had feelings for Jin Shiyue because there was no such thing. But he knew that Lin Jingwei would definitely do it if he had the chance. But now if he didn't take a stand he would lose face again. For a moment he didn't know whether to go up or down. He was extremely disgusted. He also hated Shen Yuliang, who didn't know what was good for him, but he couldn't directly flip out like Lin Jingwei. Seeing Bai Hua's ashen face, Shen Yuliang thought that his fanning the flames had a miraculous effect. He quickly struck while the iron was hot. "Brother Jingwei, what you said isn't right. We're all on the same side. If we eat and drink at the same table we can say whatever we want. If we can't even talk openly, then why are we sitting here? Our parents want us to keep in touch. Isn't that because they want us to get together often and talk openly? For example, Brother Bai is now the vice president of Tianjin. Brother Jingwei, your environmental protection company is about to make a name for itself. As for me, I'm just doing some investments and becoming an angel." Even Tong Xiaoming, a high school student, started a fashion brand that has gone overseas. By the way, I heard that Xiaoming's company was in the limelight during the Paris Fashion Week, right? Shen Yuliang was talking about the high school girl with braids. Tong Xiaoming nodded awkwardly. "It's all right. It's mainly because of my partner, who's shitty, that I'm just basking in the limelight." "Then Qin Guang, you're an internet celebrity now. Don't you think that's a little embarrassing? Brother Bai, don't you think so? We're all doing big things here. How can an internet celebrity be our spokesperson?" The more Shen Yuliang spoke, the more arrogant and presumptuous he became. Lin Jingwei's face became uglier and uglier. Bai Hua was also angered. However, Shen Yuliang really thought that he was tagging along with Bai Hua's preferences. What was there to be afraid of? Qin Guang gently put down his chopsticks and turned to look at this guy. "Are you done?" When Lin Jingwei heard this voice he felt that it was going to be bad. He knew Qin Guang too well. When he spoke so calmly, it meant that he was about to beat someone up. Usually, if Qin Guang were to start a fight, he would roll up his sleeves and join in without hesitation. However, the situation today was different. The people sitting next to them were many elders, and the ones sitting next to them were their fathers and uncles. If he were to start a fight, all the juniors would be in trouble. "Brother Guang, calm down. Calm down. Lin Jingwei didn't think about it and put his hand on Qin Guang's stomach. Damn it. This guy looks skinny with his clothes on, but his stomach is full of iron plate meat. Qin Guang gently pushed Lin Jingwei away. Let go. I have no intention of beating you up. Seeing this, Shen Yuliang's eyes darted around. He thought to himself that this was indeed a small character who couldn't be seen in public. Other than beating people up, he had no other ability. But in our circle, beating people up is the worst way to go. It will only make people look down on you. Today, I helped Brother Bai trample on Qin Guang's face. Brother Bai must be very happy, right? If it was the Qin Guang of the past, he might really beat someone up. But now he was over 200 years old. Yes, you are amazing. I'm just a lousy internet celebrity. There's nothing amazing about me. Maybe I'll be dead tomorrow. Qin Guang sneered. Actually, he had a company with a market value of over 100 million. It was just that he didn't even know the name of the company Lioli bought, so he couldn't be bothered to mention it. Seeing him admit defeat, Shen Yuliang laughed. It's good that you know your place. But everyone can't choose their parents when they're born, right? I'm happy, carefree, and earning my own living. That's pretty good. I'm not as rich as you, but this money of mine is earned by myself. I'm happy and comfortable using it. As for you thinking that I'm relying on Jin Shirue, I can't be bothered to explain it to you. I'm not close to you. Qin Guang's words had basically offended almost everyone at the table. He did it on purpose. From the start of the meal until now, he could tell that when others gave him face, it was all because of Lin Jingwei. He wasn't the same type of person as these second or third generation people in this circle. It was very boring to interact with these people. There were so many things to pay attention to when eating dishes, drinking soup, and sitting at a table. They were all based on seniority. If he accidentally ate the wrong dish, it would be like poking a huge hole in the basket. He was simply annoyed. He didn't want to rely on Jin Shirue to sneak into this so-called upper-class society, and he didn't want to rely on Lin Jingwei to stick to these people's cold faces. They thought that he was just a small internet celebrity. So what? Anyway, in the future we'll walk our own paths and no one will get in the way of the other. If it wasn't for Lin Jingwei and Tan Zhaohua's face, Qin Guang would have already flipped the table and left. Bai Hua also didn't expect Shen Yuliang to be like this. In such a short period of time he had fired so many shots at him, making a good meal taste like this. He also understood that Shen Yuliang was actually doing this to curry favor with him. He knew very well that the relationship between Lin Jingwei and Qin Guang was very strong. If today's matter wasn't handled well, Shen Yuliang would be dead. But because of this matter, it would create a knot between him and Lin Jingwei and he would be really sad. Shen Yuliang, shut up and get out. Bai Hua didn't get up. Instead, he lightly patted the table and pointed to the door. Shen Yuliang was stunned. Why? No reason. I just don't like the sight of you. Get out. I'm saying this for the last time. Bai Hua finished speaking and didn't look at him anymore. Shen Yuliang completely did not understand why. Why did Brother Xiao Bai suddenly get angry with him? Wasn't he helping him? The others at the table were also confused. Brother Bai's behavior was a little strange. No matter how they looked at it, it seemed like he was on Qin Guang's side. What exactly happened between the two of them? What was their relationship now? Lin Jingwei didn't say anything. He only used his little finger to look at the table, and his face was cold as if he was thinking about something. Qin Guang was the first to get up. Lin Jingwei, Brother Bai, there's no need to be like this. This table is full, and other than the two of you, no one else is familiar with me. I don't have any intention of sticking to anyone. I'll look for you two for dinner when I'm free. Today I'll leave first. Previously, Qin Guang didn't have a good impression of Bai Hua. But after these two sentences he felt that Bai Hua was quite a good person. It was obvious who was the one causing trouble at the table. It was rare that Bai Hua was using the title of his love rival to support him. Chinese men cared about their reputation the most. Bai Hua was sacrificing his reputation to protect his own. No wonder he was the only friend Lin Jingwei had in this circle. He was a good guy. Leave. Qin Guang, where are you going? I said you can't leave today. If you leave, wouldn't our trip be in vain? At this moment, Tan Zhaohua walked in first, followed by Old Master Jiang and Old Master Jin. Old Master Jiang was holding a wine bottle and a glass in his hand. It was obvious that he was here to propose a toast. The eyes of the youngsters in the youth hall suddenly narrowed. They were all dumbfounded. The old masters came to the youth hall to propose a toast. *CK. They had been eating with the old masters for decades, but this was the first time they saw the old masters coming to the youth hall to propose a toast. What the *CK? Chapter 569. Among the group of people that came in, Qin Guang only knew Tan Zhaohua. The other two looked vaguely familiar, but he couldn't remember who they were. Perhaps he had seen them on TV when he was very young. He didn't think much of it and smiled at Tan Zhaohua. "General Tan, I'm done eating. I have nothing to do here, so I came over to say hello and leave." He didn't want to make the situation too awkward. It was obvious that the young people at the table were led by Lin Jingwei and Bai Hua. There was no need to bring the conflict between the young people in front of the old men. It would also make it difficult for Lin Jingwei and Bai Hua to explain. The few old men, however, were shrewd enough to notice the strange atmosphere in the youth hall as soon as they entered the room. Although they didn't know what happened, it was certain that Qin Guang and the group of young people didn't have a good relationship. Many of the old men glanced at Bai Hua and Lin Jingwei. They all knew that old Lin's son had a good relationship with Qin Guang. So the reason why Qin Guang had a conflict with the people in the youth hall must be because of Bai Hua. Old man Jin knew very well that last year, Bai Hua had come to him in private and expressed his feelings for Jin Shiyue. At that time, he rejected him with the reason that he didn't want to get involved with young people's feelings. Old man Jin sighed in his heart. Young people nowadays really took the initiative. As an older generation, it was really difficult to deal with them. Old man Zhang's temper was much more fiery. He took 2 or 3 steps forward and pushed Qin Guang to his seat. "Brat, you're young but your temper is not small. You're just like me when I was young. I like you. We're really fated. Haha, just because of your clean and fresh hairstyle, I have to drink with you today. Don't leave. If you don't drink to your heart's content, you're not allowed to leave." As he spoke, he reached out to touch Qin Guang's bald head. Qin Guang was pushed back by the old man, and he didn't know who this person was. For a moment he was embarrassed. This person's hands were not honest. If it wasn't for the fact that his bald head was as bright as mine, I would have kicked him. Lin Jingwei, who was next to him, reacted quickly. He stood up and pushed Qin Guang back to his seat. "Grandpa Jiang said that you should sit down." Old Jiang patted his forehead. "Hey, I forgot to introduce myself. My surname is Jiang Yage's grandfather. Shall we have a drink?" Qin Guang suddenly realized that he was Jiang Yage's grandfather. Sure enough, if the upper beam is not straight, the lower beam will be crooked. No wonder Jiang Yage's brain has always been short-circuited. She inherited her feelings from your grandfather. "I'm not even close to you, yet you're using my bald head to get close to me. It's really crazy. You like bald heads, but I'm bald because my hair was eaten by a deer, okay?" It turns out to be Grandpa Jiang. Jiang Yage often mentioned you to me. She said that Grandpa Jiang was approachable. Today I met you and you really deserve your reputation. Although he had already cursed in his heart, Qin Guang still sat down with a smile on his face. Damn, this old man was really strong. He was so old, but the muscles on his arms were as strong as his thighs. He must have been a butcher in the army when he was young. Old Jiang patted Qin Guang on the shoulder with a smile. "Oh, young man, you're really good at talking. Good, very good. Very good. Otherwise, you would have become old Jin's grandson-in-law. I really want to make you and Yage a couple." Qin Guang thought silently. "Old man, you really don't need to make me a couple. Jin Shiyue is the cover. Your granddaughter is the one who really gives me a headache." "Hey old Jin, why are you standing there? Come here. Come and see your grandson-in-law. He's a talented young man. If you don't come here, I'll really snatch him away." Old Jiang waved at old Jin, who was standing at the door, hesitating whether to come in or not. In fact, before coming here, old Jin had also thought about this situation, but he thought that Bai Yunfei was sensible and wouldn't embarrass him, so when he saw the scene at the door, he was a little unprepared. But after all, he was an old ginger and he knew what to do. As an elder, he couldn't become timid because of the conflict between the younger generation. Moreover, when he saw Qin Guang, the rumored grandson-in-law, for the first time at the door, he really liked him. Although Qin Guang was wearing casual clothes today, perhaps it was because he had been hanging out with the elites in the army for the past few days. Coupled with his clean and neat bald head, his whole body was full of a soldier's aura, which suited his taste very well. Forget it, Shiyue didn't like Bai Hua in the first place, but she had a soft personality, so she didn't know how to reject others directly. Now that she's already with Qin Guang, why don't I, as her grandfather, be the bad guy? This can be considered as a timely end to the knot between the two families, so that there won't be more problems in the future because of this relationship. Old Jin was usually gentle, but once he made a decision, he was extremely decisive. After so many years, he and old Master Jiang, who was anxious at first and then slow at the end, complemented each other. In an instant, a warm smile hung on his face, and he quickly walked to Qin Guang's side, greeting the other young people as he walked. Qin Guang, I've been waiting to see you for a long time. You brat, you really made me wait. Qin Guang's mind completely crashed. When old Jiang revealed old Master Jin's identity, he already wanted to run away. He hated old man Tan to the core. Didn't they say that old Master Jin might not come today? Now that Jiang Yage's grandfather and Jin Shiyue's grandfather were both here, old mister, aren't you pushing me into a fire pit? You're basically giving me an active volcano full of magma. He couldn't help but laugh awkwardly. Jin? He really didn't know how to address old Master Jin. If he called him Grandfather Jin, it would be too distant. After all, old Master Jin was his grandson-in-law in name. If he directly called him grandfather, it would be too abrupt for them to meet for the first time. His words were full of swords and knives. It was all a trap. Unexpectedly, in old Master Jin's eyes, his bashful appearance was like the nervousness of meeting for the first time. This made the old man feel even more comfortable in his heart. This young man was serious about his granddaughter and treated him like a grandfather. When he recalled how Tan Zhaohua had bragged about the 40 darts trained by Qin Guang over the past few days, he was even more satisfied. He was sincere, talented, young, and promising. His general policy of handing the young man's family matters to the young man was right. Shiyue had found him a good grandson-in-law. He patted Qin Guang's shoulder in satisfaction. It's fine. Don't be nervous. You can just call me grandfather. I won't interfere with you and Shiyue's matters. I support you. Young people should be brave. As long as you don't do anything too out of line, I'll be easy to talk to. You two are so good. She's busy with work, so you should take care of her. But I know Shiyue's character the best. She looks soft on the outside, but she's tough on the inside. Since she's so open about her matters with you, she must have made up her mind to marry you. Young man, don't do anything that will let Shiyue down. Although old Master Jin's words sounded casual, they carried a lot of weight. Coming from his mouth in front of everyone, it completely represented the entire Jin family's attitude towards Qin Guang. The young people at the table were stunned, especially Xin Yuliang. Just now, he had dared to make things difficult for Qin Guang because he was sure that Qin Guang had just gotten together with Jin Shiyue. They hadn't even gotten married yet. Although the Jin family was a liberal family, it was still a circle where people of equal social status were important. If Qin Guang wanted to enter the Jin family, he would have to cross the mountain of Baihua. The Jin family's threshold was also quite high, so it wouldn't be easy to cross it. But suddenly, old Master Jin had come out to express his stance. This was equivalent to an ancient scholar who had just passed the county level being appointed as the prime minister by the emperor. He could travel 1,000 miles in a single step. Old Master Jin, this is the first time you've met. Do you have to be like this? Why are you acting so different from the rigid and strict old masters we've known since we were young? Why is this so? Not to mention these people, even Bai Hua and Lin Jingwei's heads were filled with question marks. Although they had expected old Master Jin to be easy to talk to, isn't your attitude a little too good? This is the person who snatched your granddaughter away without telling you anything. Lin Jingwei felt that it was the end of the world. It's over, it's over, it's over. Brother Guang and Jin Shiyue didn't have that kind of relationship. If old Master Jin found out that Brother Guang and Jin Shiyue were fake, wouldn't the sky fall down? Lin Jingwei couldn't help but look at Qin Guang with sympathy. Brother, we've really gone too far this time. If something really happens, what should I do to protect you? What did you do to make old Master Jin let you enter the house so quickly? Qin Guang squeezed out a smile that was uglier than crying. Thank you, Grandpa. Help, oh my God, help me, can I turn back time? Can I not come for this meal today? I'm so regretful. Old man Jiang came up to him again. Hey, old Jin, what did I say just now? Don't you think we look more like grandfather and grandson than you? Don't be so sure. I think Xiao Qin and Solomon are more compatible. He was deliberately teasing old Master Jin. To be honest, when the two salted duck eggs, one old and one young, were placed together, they really complemented each other. They reflected each other in the air and made the room brighter. Qin Guang cried even louder in his heart. The main character is here. The main character won't let me go either. Thinking about Jiang Yage's actions, Qin Guang's legs started to tremble. As the saying goes, one's mouth is soft when one takes advantage of others. He had taken advantage of Jiang Yage, and now that he's standing beside her grandfather, he naturally felt anxious. Next, Qin Guang laughed and drank with old Master Jin, old Master Jiang and old Master Tan. He was the younger generation, so he didn't refuse anyone. If someone pointed at him, he would raise a glass. Old man Jin wasn't feeling well today, so he only drank 2 mouthfuls. On the other hand, Old Man Jiang and Old Man Tan were pulling Qin Guang to drink cup after cup, insisting that he drink to his heart's content today. Fortunately, Qin Guang has a great capacity for alcohol, so he only has to bring it on. It's best for us to speak less and drink more. He really didn't wish to discuss Jin Shiyue's matter with Old Man Jin. Every additional word he said would only sink him deeper into the mud. He was really afraid that when the truth came to light, he wouldn't be able to extricate himself from the mud. The others at the table were stunned and peeked at Qin Guang and the three old men as if there was no one else present. You said you were toasting, but aren't you toasting too warmly? What the hell? What the hell is this for? We don't understand. From the beginning to the end, the group of juniors in the youth hall only dared to raise their heads and greet the old men when they came in. However, they heard every word clearly from the beginning to the end, not daring to miss a single word. Although they didn't know what happened, it was obvious that Qin Guang had become a favorite in front of the old men. Although it was only 3 old men who came to toast, it was almost unheard of in their circle. It was even more unimaginable that they were so familiar with each other. Shen Yuliang sat on the chair, and behind him was Old Man Jiang, who had his arm around Qin Guang's shoulder. He felt like he was sitting on pins and needles, and cold sweat flowed down his back. He had caused a huge disaster and poked a huge hole in the ground. Isn't Qin Guang an internet celebrity? What kind of medicine did these old men take? One had to know that even though everyone present was a direct descendant of the younger generation, when they met these elders, other than nodding and greeting them, they didn't even have the chance to speak to them. Among those present, only Bai Hua was asked by the elders to see if he had made any progress recently. As for the others, don't even think about it. Bai Hua was rarely left out. As the absolute leader of the younger generation in Yanjing, he had always been the center of attention when he was with the older generation. But today's protagonist was obviously not him, which made him feel a little disappointed. But he quickly adjusted his mentality. Perhaps the old men deliberately came to help Qin Guang. After all, from Shen Yuliang's previous attitude, it could be seen that the people at this table didn't have a high acceptance of Qin Guang. At this time, Old Man Jiang had almost drunk to his heart's content. He seemed to be a little tipsy. In such a short time he had unknowingly drunk 4 ounces of wine, and Qin Guang had drunk a whole pound and a half. Unfortunately, Old Man Jiang was old, and he was the one who couldn't hold on anymore. Old Man Jiang waved his hand. You are indeed the boy I like. I admire your refreshing drinking. Okay, let's stop here today. I'll find you another day to drink slowly. Everyone was relieved. It was finally time to leave. Unexpectedly, he suddenly took 2 steps forward and stood behind Bai Hua. He patted Bai Hua's shoulder heavily and said with the help of alcohol, "Little Bai, there are some things that I, Old Jin, can't say. I, Old Jiang, have drunk a little, so what I say may be nonsense and not very pleasant to hear. But you have to listen." Old Man Jin wanted to stop him. "Old Man Jiang, that's enough." Old Man Jiang waved his hand. "I'm just saying a few words. I won't make things difficult for the younger generation. Bai Hua, I watched you grow up. Your brain is really good. We all have high hopes for you. But you are a person who wants to do big things, so you have to think things through. Don't fight with your brother Qin Guang. You are a young man, so there is nothing you can't overcome. To borrow a popular saying among you young people, there is no problem in this world that can't be solved with a barbecue. If there is, then 2 barbecues. As he said that, he patted Bai Hua's shoulder meaningfully. His words were actually very heavy, very straightforward, and even very hurtful. If it were anyone else, especially Old Jin, Bai Hua would definitely be hurt by Old Jiang's words. However, Old Jiang deliberately made himself sound like he was drunk, so Bai Hua wouldn't be too bothered by it. Although his face was red from drinking, his heart was clear. How did Bai Hua feel at this moment? Grievance, great grievance. I wasn't the one who made things difficult for Qin Guang just now. I don't want to be the scapegoat. He turned slightly and looked at Shen Yuliang as if he wanted to eat him alive. The culprit glared at him until a chill ran down his spine. Grandpa Jiang, don't say that. I also apologize to Grandpa Jin. In the past, I was insensible and didn't separate the relationship between a brother and a sister. Now I've thought it through. I like Shiyue very much, but I really like her as if she is my biological sister. I'm not bragging, I have found someone I really like. Jingwei introduced him to me and I've been urging him to help me build a bridge. As for me, I will give everyone a military pledge. Within 2 years, I will definitely let everyone attend my wedding, okay? Bai Hua really didn't want to be the scapegoat, so he had no choice but to desperately step on Lin Jingwei's foot under the table, urging him to hurry up and save him. Lin Jingwei, who was playing with the invisibility suit, turned pale. Oh my God, military pledge your sister. There is no such person on earth, okay? But this was not the time to undermine him, so Lin Jingwei could only chuckle. Yes, yes, really, I can testify. Oh, there's such a good thing? The few old men were happy. The Bai family's brat actually made a military pledge for his marriage. This was really a joyous matter in their circle. If old Bai knew about this in the afterlife, these old men could finally relax. Who didn't know that Bai Hua was proud and arrogant? It wasn't easy to find a woman that could catch his eye. Old man Jin was the happiest. He finally got rid of the knot in his heart. Jingwei, you really have to pay attention to your brother Bai Hua's matter. Lin Jingwei nodded vigorously. Yes, 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 I will definitely pay attention. Qin Guang, who had already drunk 1.5 liters of wine, silently stuffed meat into his mouth. He felt that he had become the center of the storm today. Everything was revolving around him. It was too scary, really too scary. Never in his wildest dreams would he have imagined that Bai Hua would act as if he had obtained an imperial sword. He would actually complain about Lin Jingwei in front of everyone. I've already asked Jingwei to help me make an appointment with many people, but he's always using all sorts of excuses. He won't even let me meet him. Hey little Lin, how can you treat your brother like this? Old man Jiang had a fiery temper. He raised his hand and slapped Lin Jingwei's head. Do you still want to take advantage of this opportunity to take advantage of me? Lin Jingwei looked like he was about to cry. No. It's nothing. It's just a little inconvenient. What's so inconvenient about meeting and having a meal? In Wuxia, who can't even have a meal together? Is it inconvenient today or tomorrow? Or is it inconvenient every day? The more old man Jiang said, the angrier he got. Make an appointment. Make an appointment. I will make an appointment for you. I will. I swear. Lin Jingwei was about to cry. Why is my life so bitter? The military order number 2 came soon after. Then it's settled. I will ask brother Bai Hua later. If you don't do this well, I will bring your grandfather to beat you up. Old man Jiang was satisfied. Bai Hua was even more happy. He suddenly felt that it was worth it to be a scapegoat today. Finally, the clouds parted to reveal the moon. Let's see if you still want to be mysterious. Lin Jingwei felt a mouthful of blood welling up in his chest. At this moment he only wanted to ask the heavens. Beneath the table, his right leg was bruised from Bai Hua's stomp, and his left leg was nearly fractured from Qin Guang's retaliation. Qin Guang didn't want to say anything. I will make an appointment with you. The 3 old men finally left with satisfaction. As soon as they walked out, old man Jiang and old man Jin looked at each other. There was no trace of drunkenness on their faces. They were full of happiness seeing their children and grandchildren. This time we have a good explanation for the dead old Bai. Old man Jiang's eyes were filled with tears. Elder Jin nodded as well. Yeah, if not, I'd feel really bad. Back then, Elder Bai was injured so badly because he wanted to protect the 2 of us. He didn't even have the chance to enjoy his good life before he died. I still remember how he hugged Bai Hua before he died, crying and begging us to take care of him. These past few years I've been feeling really helpless. Old man Jin, it hasn't been easy for you these past few years. It hasn't been easy. On the other side, old man Tan signaled to Secretary Chu, who was waiting at the door. Secretary Chu understood and kept them in suspense. They couldn't let the juniors in the room naively think that the 3 old men were promoting Qin Guang because of Jin Shiyue. They had to let them know the true importance of Qin Guang. Background was only one of the reasons why they guided the juniors. The most important factor was their ability. They had to let the other kids know that Qin Guang relied on his true ability. Everything else was useless and unimportant. Chapter 570. In the youth hall, once the old men left, the atmosphere became deathly still. Bai Hua was gnashing his teeth in hatred at Xin Yuliang for making trouble out of nothing and making him a scapegoat. But at the same time he was proud that he had made Lin Jingwei sign a military order in front of the elders. He could finally see the person he had been yearning for day and night. Lin Jingwei, on the other hand, was sandwiched between a certain someone who wrote Qin Guang and read Qin Yu, and a certain someone whose mind was filled with Qin Yu. He could neither live nor die. Qin Guang, on the other hand, was thinking about what he should and shouldn't say. The things that should and shouldn't have happened had all happened tonight. He had to quickly contact Jin Shiyue and tell her everything that had happened tonight. What should he do? The fake relationship was going to be a reality. As for the military order that Lin Jingwei had just signed, Qin Guang didn't take it seriously at all. Blame me? What does it have to do with me? But at this time, the person at the table who was suffering the most was Xin Yuliang. His original plans were all for naught. Especially when he heard Bai Hua publicly declare that he didn't have any feelings for Jin Shiyue and that his heart belonged to someone else, he realized that his flattery tonight was all for naught. He even felt that the other people at the table were looking at him with a hint of ridicule in their expressions. He wanted to say something to ease the atmosphere and restore some of their relationship, but Chen Guang didn't seem to have any intention of paying attention to him. Lin Jingwei quietly poked Chen Guang's leg. "Brother, can you not step on my foot? I am also a scapegoat for this matter, okay? What have you been up to these past few days? I feel like today's events are very sci-fi, like I'm living in a dream." Chen Guang was well aware that the only reason why Old Man Tan would bring Jin Shiyue and Jiang Hua over was because of what he had done in Shun these past few days. He didn't expect it himself. "Didn't I just teach you a few skills in darts? Is there a need to praise me like this? Am I that important? Was the contribution of this matter really that great?" He also didn't understand how difficult it was for those in power to deal with those martial artists who had mastered inner strength techniques. If he knew more secrets, perhaps he would be able to understand the ecstasy of many old men. At this moment, Secretary Chu walked in with a glass and a bottle in his hand. Although Secretary Chu was just a secretary, he didn't put on airs in front of these second and third generations. He often helped them run errands. For example, at today's gathering, Secretary Chu played the role of a waiter. However, as a popular man in front of the grand elders, he still had quite a high status in front of these juniors, so no one dared to look down on him. "Secretary Chu, are you hungry? Why don't you sit down and have a bite?" Bai Hua invited. Secretary Chu laughed. "I've already eaten outside. I'm here to give you a toast." "Oh, why is Uncle Chu doing this today? If you want a drink, let's drink together." "Don't mention toast," Lin Jingwei teased. Unexpectedly, Secretary Chu's expression changed. "It's not the first time we've eaten and drunk together, so it doesn't matter. But today is the first time we've met, little Chin. I have to give you a toast." Some of the smarter ones had already realized that the highlight of today's meal was finally coming. The elders had come over for a visit. Perhaps it was because of the relationship between Qin Guang and Jin Shiyue, but Secretary Chu was still in his prime. Although he was a secretary, he was actually a rising star in the domestic political world. There must be a deeper meaning behind his toast. Sure enough, as he spoke, he first poured himself a full glass and then filled up Qin Guang's glass. He said, "This is my first toast. I would like to thank Chief Instructor Chen on behalf of my good-for-nothing nephew for teaching him." After saying that, he drained the glass in one gulp. Qin Guang was at a loss, but he also drank a glass of wine. He had already drunk 3 liters today. Although he was a little tipsy, there was no need to worry about it. The others paid attention to the words Chief Instructor Chen that Secretary Chu had said. It was deafening. Other than being an internet celebrity, what other identity did he have for Secretary Chu to call him Chief Instructor? And he was deliberately toasting him? Moreover, Secretary Chu's nephew had received the grace of being taught by him? Secretary Chu this? Qin Guang didn't quite understand what was going on. Seeing that Qin Guang didn't understand, Secretary Chu slapped his forehead. "Hey, look at my brain. I forgot to introduce him. My nephew was one of the students who received special training from Chief Instructor Qin in Shun the day before yesterday. He also successfully obtained some special abilities." Secretary Chu didn't make it clear, but Qin Guang understood instantly. So that was it. Secretary Chu's nephew was one of his believers. "Then we should have a drink, hee. Qin Guang laughed. In fact, Secretary Chu felt quite wronged. He thought that his nephew was one of the top students among the outstanding students. He would definitely be able to chat with Qin Guang for a while and know his name. With such a special surname like Chu, Qin Guang should be able to remember it with just a slight hint from him. What he didn't know was that Qin Guang only cared about the first batch of students who were believers, including Li Big Mouth. As for the subsequent batches of students, he would leave immediately after he was done with his charlatan. He wouldn't care about their names. "Brother Guang, Chief Instructor? What the hell?" Lin Jingwei couldn't help but ask. Qin Guang waved his hand casually. "It's not a big deal. I just gave a few lessons to everyone in Shun's special training camp." Shun's special training camp. Chief Instructor. Most of the people present were knowledgeable. They knew how special Shun's special training camp was in the national military. Otherwise, Tan Zhaohua, an old general of the same generation as Jin Jiang, wouldn't be personally in charge of it. They all sucked in a breath of cold air. Even Bai Hua, the leader of the younger generation, felt ashamed of his inferiority. The chief instructor of Shun was not a position that could be gilded with gold for 2 or 3 generations. Not to mention the military rank, it was impossible to be an ordinary instructor and shunned if one did not have the ability to convince the masses and was capable enough. Every ordinary instructor there would be an absolute elite in the military. At the very least, they would be the leader of a special forces team like Xuelin. What's more, Qin Guang's title had the word chief in front of it. On the other side, Secretary Chu spoke again. Chief Instructor Qin, you can't treat this as a small matter. My second toast is a toast to Chief Instructor Qin as a former soldier and now a politician, for your contributions to the country. What you've done in Shun's special training camp may be something you did casually, but to us, it's a great debt of gratitude. With that, he drained his cup in one gulp. Everyone felt a sense of loss. Their guess had been confirmed. He was indeed Shun's chief instructor. This third cup is a toast to you, Head Instructor Qin, on behalf of the senior leaders. Everyone at the table was completely speechless. What had happened at the banquet tonight was completely beyond their common sense. It was understandable that the three elders, Jin, Jiang and Tan, had come to toast, but why did the other elders who hadn't come solemnly ask Secretary Chu to toast on their behalf? Even if he really was Shun's chief instructor, he couldn't possibly receive such treatment. That's right, Secretary Chu seemed to have vaguely revealed some more information. What course was Qin Guang's chief instructor at Shun? What kind of ability did he have as a so-called internet celebrity? What did he teach that could be considered as a great debt of gratitude? More and more question marks slowly emerged in everyone's hearts, but Secretary Chu's toast ended here. Qin Guang and he drained their cups again and Secretary Chu bowed and left. Brother Guang, if you confess, I'll be lenient. If you resist, I'll be strict. What kind of chief instructor are you in Shun? Lin Jingwei couldn't hold it in anymore. His heart felt like it was being scratched by a cat. Qin Guang scratched his head and stuffed a mouthful of food into his mouth to suppress the alcohol. He had drunk a little too much today. Nothing much. I just teach you how to play darts. Darts? The other second and third generations at the table, who were listening intently to the conversation between the two, were confused. Some liked to watch sports channels or were well informed. They knew that Qin Guang had recently won the World Darts Championship, but what did this have to do with military special training? A mere champion of the World Darts Championship was nothing in their circle. Seeing Lin Jingwei and Bai Hua's expressions of disbelief, Qin Guang nodded again. Yes, darts. I don't understand. I really don't understand. Lin Jingwei shook his head. It's fine if you don't understand. You'll understand when you grow up. Qin Guang patted his head. Get lost. After the three old men and Secretary Chu's argument, the atmosphere at the table suddenly changed. No one dared to respond to Xin Yuliang's relentless pursuit. They didn't immediately throw away their moral integrity and try to curry favor with him. After all, everyone was a person of status. However, their tone and attitude did become much more respectful. It was so much so that he seemed to be treating Qin Guang, Lin Jingwei, and Bai Hua on the same level. Qin Guang was now also a smart person. He was just a passerby in this circle, but there was no need to make things difficult for Lin Jingwei and Bai Hua in the future. So, he was amiably joking with these people. At the table, there was only one person who couldn't sit still. Xin Yuliang even felt that it would have been better for him to just follow Bai Hua's instructions and simply leave. Later on, he would think of a way to make up for this little bit of conflict and filth. That way he wouldn't be stuck between a rock and a hard place. He tried to talk to Qin Guang several times, but every time Qin Guang's eyes drifted to him, it was as if he was looking at air. Qin Guang's eyes would swish to the side, leaving him unable to say a word. Finally, Xin Yuliang had waited for a golden opportunity. Using the high school girl, Tong Xiaoming, as an opportunity to ask Qin Guang to be her spokesperson, Qin Guang said in a half-joking, half-serious tone, "Well, don't worry about being the chief instructor. I may not go back, but I'm afraid I'll have to continue being an internet celebrity. If anyone needs a spokesperson, you can look for me. I'll give you 20% off." Xin Yuliang hurriedly replied, "Okay. It's hard to say for other companies, but Brother Qin Guang, my online company can only ask you to be their spokesperson. Now that you're so famous, it's not wrong to say that you're an A-list celebrity. You used to be our company's gold medal driver. They say that a scholar who has been away for 3 days must be looked at in a new light. Now that our online company is asking you to be their spokesperson, it's a match made in heaven." Perhaps it was because he was too excited, but Xin Yuliang's voice was too loud, covering the voices of everyone else at the table. This time, Qin Guang finally couldn't ignore him. He slowly turned his face and stared straight at the person sitting next to him. Xin Yuliang's heart was beating very fast. If Chen Guang accepted his joke, tonight's conflict would be over. Then, under his nervous gaze, Chen Guang gently took a breath and said, "Except for you." Shen Yuliang's heart tightened and he said awkwardly, "No, I mean I don't want to talk to you." Shen Yuliang's heart tightened and he said awkwardly, "No, I mean I don't want to talk to you." Hearing those words, Shen Yuliang's face instantly turned red. Chen Guang's words had thoroughly swept his face to the ground. Tong Xiaoming, the little girl, couldn't help but cover her mouth and let out a soft snort. This made Shen Yuliang feel even more embarrassed and he wanted to find a hole in the ground to hide in. Chen Guang. He clenched his teeth and wanted to say something harsh, but he recalled everything that had happened before, and the harsh words could only be stuck in his throat and he couldn't say it out. "Don't look at me so fiercely. As the old saying goes, there must be a cause and effect, right? I didn't offend you and we're not the same kind of people. You don't have to hurt yourself to repair your relationship with me. It's really not necessary. Look at you, you look like you want to cry. I feel sorry for you. Well, let's go in the future. You go your own way and I'll go my own way. Isn't that good? Tonight, let's eat and drink to our heart's content and then leave. Everyone, it's still very nice to meet everyone today. In the future, when you come to 5 Capital, remember to find me. You can't miss a meal. I'll leave first." Chen Guang said, suddenly got up, lifted his leg and quickly walked out of the door. Others thought that he was annoyed with Shen Yuliang, but only Lin Jingwei felt that Chen Guang's actions were abnormally agile, and then stood up. "Brother Guang, wait for me." Chen Guang's voice came from afar. "I'll wait for you, my ass. I want to go back to 5 Capital." Lin Jingwei continued to shout, "There are no flights tonight. I'll leave tomorrow. I'll drive back." "You still want to drive after drinking 4 liters of wine? Are you trying to go to heaven?" Their voices traveled further and further, and finally Chen Guang was pulled back by Lin Jingwei's clothes. "Damn it, don't pull me," Chen Guang said softly, suppressing his voice. Lin Jingwei refused to let go. "Brother Guang, don't run away. Can you help me? If I don't drag Chen Yu out, I won't be able to complete my mission. You don't know the situation of Brother Bai's grandfather and us old men. Brother Xiao Bai's marriage is an important matter that must be raised to the national level. *CKU, it's none of my business. Besides, I can pretend once, but can I pretend forever? I can't do anything about national affairs, okay? I can't do anything about the universe, okay? I can't make a Chen Yu out of a rock, okay?" Chen Guang was speechless. How could this bastard's brain be so smart? He ran away so suddenly, but he still caught him. No, that's not what I mean. You just need to help me deal with it one more time. Be more ruthless, be more direct, and let Brother Bai completely give up on this idea. I'll also be able to give an explanation to the old men. As a brother, I've never begged you before. This time I'm really begging you. Don't beg me. It's useless. What are you two talking about? Just then, Bai Hua's voice came from the corner behind the two of them. Chen Guang and Lin Jingwei were startled. "Damn it, Brother Bai, why did you chase after them without saying a word? You scared the two of them to death. If you leave, how can we eat in the youth hall? Are you going to leave poor Shen Yuliang alone there with his heart broken into pieces?" Chapter 571. No, nothing. Lin Jingwei cowered, not knowing what to say. On the other hand, Chen Guang forcefully put on an aloof expression and asked, "The dinner inside?" Bai Hua waved his hand indifferently. "Ignore them, it doesn't matter. I feel uncomfortable eating in the youth hall. They will feel more comfortable if we leave." "That's right." Lin Jingwei laughed. He just wanted to get rid of Bai Hua as soon as possible, otherwise he would be inexplicably panicking. Unexpectedly, Bai Hua changed the topic and put his arm around Lin Jingwei's shoulder. "Fine, I won't ask what you two were arguing about. Let's go somewhere else to drink." "Why do we have to drink?" Lin Jingwei tried to struggle, but Bai Hua's grip only tightened. "Isn't it all because of you? I asked you to meet someone, but you kept making excuses. You were the one who brought that person to me, and now I'm haggard because of you. If you don't drink with me, then who am I supposed to drink with?" Bai Hua pushed Lin Jingwei forward. Chen Guang took the opportunity and said, "Then you two go drink. I drank too much today and feel dizzy, so I won't go." How could Lin Jingwei let Chen Guang go? He knew that Bai Hua would definitely pester him about Chen Yu's matter, and if he let Chen Guang go tonight, Chen Guang would return to the 5 Capitals tomorrow morning. At that time, Lin Jingwei wouldn't even be able to call for help. So, today is the day, don't even think about escaping. Bai Hua pulled Lin Jingwei and Lin Jingwei pulled Chen Guang. "Brother Guang, do you think I don't know how much you can drink? Don't pretend you can't go back to Wujing tonight anyway, let's go. How could Qin Guang not know what Lin Jingwei was thinking? He cursed him in his heart. Brother Guang, let's go. Look at my sincere eyes. Don't you have the slightest bit of soft-heartedness? In front of Bai Hua, Lin Jingwei couldn't say anything, but the teary look in his eyes was really pitiful. For some reason, Qin Guang unexpectedly nodded his head. His heart had softened. All right, stop pulling. If you keep pulling, my clothes will be torn apart. Seeing that Qin Guang had finally relented, Lin Jingwei felt relieved. He was so excited that he almost jumped 3 feet high. Let's go. Let's go to Ino. Inua was quite famous among the second and third generations in Yanjin. The young people of Lin Jingwei's generation liked to go to Inua when they had nothing to do. That place was more private, and the guests there were either rich or noble. It was also relatively safe, and it was not easy to get into trouble. Let's drink until the world turns upside down. At this moment, Bai Hua no longer had the arrogance of the vice president of Tianjin Energy Group. With Lin Jingwei and Qin Guang, he had returned to the appearance of a young man. In the largest private room of Inua Club, Tianhe No. 1, a crisp and melodious song was lingering. It was the famous song Leaving Island Song by Jin Shiyue and Jiang Yage. This ancient Chinese song had 3 twists and turns, and it was extremely difficult to sing. However, if it was sung well, it could be melodious and lingering. At this moment, the song in this private room was exactly the same as the original song by the left and right hand. It was so beautiful that people couldn't extricate themselves from it. Fortunately, Inua's decorations were high-end. Even if the song was loud inside, no one could hear it from the outside. Otherwise, even in a high-end club like Inua, there would definitely be people peeping to see if it was really the left and right hand. At the end of the song, thunderous applause came from Tianhe No. 1 private room. 7 or 8 girls were clapping desperately. Sister Shiyue sang well. This is what you call a reproduction of the original song. Why do I feel like it's better than listening to it on a CD? A beautiful and charming girl was so excited that her face was flushed. That's right. A few days ago, that music critic called Fong something actually dared to insinuate that Sister Shiyue and Sister Yage were lip-syncing. Let him listen to it and let him know who's better. Another little girl gnashed her teeth. Jin Shiyue put down the microphone and glared at the person. Forget it. Let others say it. We know what's going on. Yage, don't you think so? Jiang Yage wasn't as kind as Jin Shiyue. Instead, she glared at her fiercely. This won't do. Next time when we have a meet and greet, we must have a good talk with him and sing a cappella for him. If he still refuses to let go, we'll let him know who's better. Your temper is still so bad. When can you change it? Jin Shiyue couldn't do anything to her. Sister Shiyue, stop talking about Sister Yage. When are you going to call brother-in-law over to show everyone? Although we can always see him on TV or on the internet, we have never seen him in person. It's too much. We sisters haven't even checked him and you've already been taken away. Jiang Yage also egged her on. That's right. Qin Guang is just a student. Now it's summer vacation. Why is he as busy as a national leader? Does he even have you, Sister Shiyue, as his girlfriend? Jin Shiyue gave Jiang Yage a hard look. She knew that she was deliberately making trouble. It was clear that she was thinking about Qin Guang all day long, but she used herself as a cover. You go find him yourself. How can I overstep my authority? Otherwise I'll be scolded by others for a whole year. Well, although he is a student, he also has his own business to do. He may not be as leisurely as us artists. In the future we will meet sooner or later. There's no hurry. When saying this, Jin Shiyue was thinking in her heart. When would she be able to be a cover? In addition, Qin Guang, where are you now? What are you doing? The same question was in Jiang Yage's heart, but the two of them didn't care for long. It was rare for them to have a vacation after the concert. How could they not have a good rest? What? Tianhe No. 1 has been occupied? Standing in the lobby of the Inua Club, Bai Hua stared at the lobby manager in front of him. Under Bai Hua's gaze, the lobby manager's temples broke out in cold sweat. This matter was also his fault. In the afternoon, Bai Hua did call to reserve Tianhe No. 1, but in the evening, Jiang Yage and Jin Shiyue came with a group of sisters and also asked for Tianhe No. 1. At that time, the manager couldn't afford to offend either side, so he could only push the matter to Bai Hua, saying that it was Bai Hua who made the decision. Unexpectedly, Jiang Yage said carelessly that Bai Hua went to dinner with the elders tonight. How could he come to sing? The poor lobby manager accidentally found out something he shouldn't have known, so he took the opportunity to give the private room to Jiang Yage. Who would have thought that Bai Hua would still come? What should they do? The lobby manager obviously knew some inside information. For example, Bai Hua had once been deeply in love with Jin Shiyue. Now, Jin Shiyue had publicly announced that she had a boyfriend. If he were to lure Bai Hua over, it would be like a bolt of lightning crashing into the ground. If the two families were to have a conflict, perhaps nothing would happen to them, but as the main culprit he would definitely die a horrible death. At this time, Qin Guang, who was next to him, said, Tian He number 1 is gone. Why don't we go to D He number 1? Lin Jingwei asked curiously, how do you know about D He number 1? Qin Guang looked at him as if he was looking at an idiot. I really don't want to chat with you. I'm afraid I'll lower my standards. The lobby manager saw an opportunity and quickly said, yes, D He number 1 is really there. The two private rooms are about the same, otherwise, no. Bai Hua was still stubborn. Lin Jingwei also tried to persuade him, come on, it's rare for us brothers to come out for a drink. Don't get upset over such a small matter. In the end, Bai Hua still gave in. The three of them occupied such a large space, so there was nothing to be uncomfortable about. No one asked for a song. Bai Hua's purpose here was to drink and get drunk. Lin Jingwei was responsible for accompanying, and Qin Guang was responsible for decorating. Qin Guang also tried to ask for a song, but Lin Jingwei noticed it in time and stopped him. The two of them sat at the table and drank without any prelude. Qin Guang, on the other hand, sat on the sofa and played with his phone. He didn't bother with his Weibo account for a long time. His message bar was almost full of fans' comments and private messages. He quietly turned his back to the two of them and looked at the pictures sent by his female fans. His heart was a little restless, but drowsiness gradually came over him. It had been about 30 to 40 minutes since the start of the dinner, and 3 liters of wine had already gone down their throats. If it was an ordinary person, they would have long fallen to the ground. Even Qin Guang, who had refined his wine tank in the sea of moments, found it a little difficult. The aftereffects of high-quality wine were not small. Just as he was about to close his eyes, Lin Jingwei finally left Bai Hua alone. He said that he had to go to the toilet and desperately winked at Qin Guang before leaving. Qin Guang pretended not to see it. After leaving, Lin Jingwei took out his phone and texted Qin Guang, brother, I beg you, I'm really begging you. Just this once, don't do it again. I swear. This was not the end. Lin Jingwei simply told Qin Guang about the matter of Bai Hua's grandfather and the other old men. Qin Guang found out that many of those old men who were still alive owed the Bai family's old man a favor. So I forget it. Qin Guang also made up his mind. In any case, he had played the role of Qin Yu once and twice. He didn't want Bai Hua and Lin Jingwei to give up. This matter couldn't be dragged on forever. He could hide from the monk, but he couldn't hide from the temple. He might as well put on another act and completely break Bai Hua's heart. Who told him to first do something shameful and sell Patek Philippe? He dug a hole and buried it himself. He had to make up for his own mistakes. Therefore, he also apologized to Bai Hua, saying that he had some urgent matters to attend to and had to go out for a while. As soon as Qin Guang went out, he was pulled to the side in private room number 2 by Lin Jingwei. He didn't know when this bastard informed Sister Hua, but Sister Hua, who was known as the ghost hand of Beijing, was already in the private room, sharpening her knife and waiting. Lin Jingwei pushed Qin Guang into Sister Hua's arms, put his palms together and begged, Brother Guang, I owe you a lifetime of kindness for today. I really have to rely on you. My life is in your hands. I'm going back to Tianhe number 1 now. Don't run away. Otherwise go watch the legal news tomorrow. I promise to jump from the signal tower of China's TV station for you to see. After saying that, Lin Jingwei turned around and ran away, leaving Qin Guang alone in private room number 2, staring at Sister Hua, who was grinning and full of fighting spirit. Wait. Let me calm down. Please give me 3 seconds to think about it. Lighter. Mommy, lighter. My scalp. Where do you live, Sister Hua? I'll visit you someday to thank you. You want to beat me up, right? Dream on. About half an hour later, Sister Hua looked at her perfect artwork with satisfaction. She kept repeating one word over and over again, beautiful. The effect was perfect, even better than the last time. Thanks to Qin Guang's clean bald head, it was much easier to take care of the wig than the last time. A person's appearance, other than facial features, accounted for at least 30% of the effective hairstyle. The current Qin Guang, the current Qin Yu, had a more natural hairstyle than the last time. Coupled with Sister Hua's exquisite facial features, she gave off the vibe of a European supermodel. Cool, it should be called cool and elegant today. She was cold and elegant with a hint of charm, and there was no lack of heroism in her charm. As long as she stood there, she would naturally become the focus of the crowd. Walking on the street, any talent scout with a good eye would be able to notice her at first glance. The returning supermodel, language genius, and business elite Qin Yu had made a comeback. Sister Hua chuckled, This is perfect. Miss Qin, oh no Mr. Qin, I, Sister Hua, have traveled all over the world. I've done at least 1,000 if not 8 or 10,000 times, but I've never met someone like you. You're a little handsome when you're a man, but after changing your makeup, your beauty soars to the sky. It's such a pity that you weren't born a girl. As she spoke, she shoved the mirror in front of Qin Guang. Qin Guang cursed in his heart, Girl, my ass. Your whole family is female. He took the mirror and didn't want to complain anymore. If it wasn't for the fact that Sister Hua was sweating profusely for the past half an hour, he would have used his hands to wipe off all the makeup on his face. I'm really going to call the police. F*CKU, I'm going to be the bad guy today to make that bad guy give up. You made me look so coquettish that I'm almost F*King obsessed with myself. Oh no, my arm, forget it, I'll just chop it off. How is it? I've used my trump card today. Little Qin, oh no Mr. Qin, are you satisfied? Sister Hua looked at Qin Guang eagerly, hoping that he would praise her. Qin Guang stared straight at her. I'm so satisfied that I want to fight you. Sister Hua clapped her hands. Oh Miss Qin, I really can't talk about your voice. Why didn't you tell me earlier that you could change your voice? This sister's feet are about to go limp from the sweetness. That's right, the considerate and gentle Miss Lu Li didn't need Qin Guang's help this time. She took the initiative to give him the perfect voice of a goddess. It was still her own voice. Qin Guang silently shed a couple of caddies of tears in his heart. Miss Lu Li, you're so considerate. I thank you for your whole family. On the other hand, after Lin Jingwei returned to He No. 1, he casually said that Qin Guang had something urgent to attend to and had to leave first, so he would drink with him slowly. After waiting for a few more minutes, Lin Jingwei pretended to play on WeChat and slammed the table. Brother Bai. Sister Qin Yu finally said something. She said she'll come over later. Bai Hua's drunkenness was instantly washed away, and he stood up from the sofa. Where is she? I'll go to the door to pick her up. Lin Jingwei hurriedly stopped him, cold sweat dripping down his back. He didn't know if he didn't try, but now that he did, he was shocked. Brother Bai was really possessed. Brother Bai, calm down. She'll be here in at least half an hour. Chapter 572. In Tian He No. 1's private room, a group of young girls sang happily. Jin Shiyue and Jiang Ye took a break when they were tired from singing. A group of young and beautiful girls gathered together. Although the others' singing skills and image were slightly inferior to Jin Shiyue and Jiang Ye, they were still the cream of the crop when compared to the ordinary people's circle. Everyone had their own fun when they sang and came on stage. Sister Shiyue, let's find an excuse to go to the 5 capitals in 2 days? Jiang Ye and Jin Shiyue whispered in the corner of the private room. Jin Shiyue was moved, but she couldn't show it on her face. She only smiled and teased, if you really miss him, give him a call. In any case, I don't mind a good sister like you. Jiang Ye spat at her. If he heard your words, I wonder how happy he would be. What, Sister Shiyue? Could it be that he wants to catch us both in one fell swoop? Jin Shiyue looked at her excited look and sighed in her heart. She couldn't help but pour cold water on her. But I don't think so. I feel that he doesn't want to catch us in one fell swoop. He wants to avoid everyone, right? That seems to be the case. Yeah. Jiang Ye looked gloomy and sighed slightly. When Jin Shiyue saw her desolate look, her heart twisted even more. If I had known this would happen, I would have let you have this fake relationship with him back then. You have a cheerful personality. If you take more initiative with this reputation, he will definitely not be able to resist you sooner or later. Jiang Ye shook her head repeatedly. That won't do. My grandfather is not like your grandfather. He will definitely rush to the 5 capitals and twist his head off. It's just that Sister Shiyue has wronged you. Jin Shiyue smiled. What's wrong with it? Isn't he also my friend? The way things are now is pretty good. There are no more flies around, so Brother Bai Hua won't be in a difficult position. It's killing 2 birds with 1 stone. That's right, Sister Shiyue, you're the best to me. Jiang Ye became happy again and hugged Jin Shiyue with a smile. Feeling Jiang Ye's dependence and trust in her, a faint sadness lingered in Jin Shiyue's heart. She couldn't help but ask herself if she was really a good sister in her current state. It was indeed Jiang Ye who confessed to Qin Guang first, but now she was the first one. At least nominally she was tied to Qin Guang. If her heart was really as calm as still water, perhaps she would be the one who suffered a loss. But my heart isn't so open and aboveboard. Jin Shiyue felt ashamed. She felt that she had let down Jiang Ye's trust. She also knew that with her family's financial situation, once their relationship was announced, it wouldn't be easy to take it back. That was why she had thought of ways to prevent her grandfather and Qin Guang from meeting. She was afraid that Qin Guang would directly pass her grandfather's test. If that happened, it wouldn't be easy for her to not make it real. She sighed heavily in her heart and hugged Jiang Ye's waist again. She silently thought that if it really came to that in the future, she would have to bear the bad reputation and become a female celebrity who liked the new and hated the old. She would have to cut off her wrists. When that time came, she would take the initiative to break up with the excuse that both of us were busy with our careers and neglected to see each other. In the end, Qin Guang couldn't stay in the second private room for too long. After being forced to change into a neutral shirt, he was pushed out by Sister Hua. Sister Hua had originally prepared a master-grade dress from the Milan Fashion Week for him, but after being beaten up by him, Sister Hua didn't struggle anymore. Standing outside the door, Qin Guang looked at the number plate of the room opposite him. He took a deep breath and squeezed out an awkward smile. He turned around and walked forward. Standing in front of the door of the first room, he opened the door and strode in. His movements were smooth. At the same time, he kept recalling the many cliché TV dramas in his mind. He tried to figure out how those emotionless female characters rejected people with an attitude that hurt them to the bone. After thinking about it, he couldn't help but feel sorry for the pathetic amount of TV dramas he watched. The only option in his mind was Abyss Miju. Seriously, the old man didn't watch soap operas at all. Bai Hua, who had already stopped drinking, was waiting on the sofa with a face full of anticipation. When Qin Guang opened the door, he stared at the door. In the next moment, he stood up straight as if springs had been added to his legs. His whole body was as stiff as a piece of cured meat that had been hung on the beam to dry for an entire winter. His eyes instantly became misty as he stared at the tall and beautiful figure at the door. Under the illumination of the bright lights in the private room, her body seemed to have a strange glow, but it also turned her into a black hole, swallowing Bai Hua's gaze and mind bit by bit. His breathing became faster and faster, and his heartbeat became heavier and heavier. 10,000 little rabbits were galloping in his chest, and a 10,000-ton hammer was ruthlessly smashing into Bai Hua's heart. Her expression was as cold as ice, but in Bai Hua's eyes, it was like the dimpled smile of the prettiest girl in middle school in his childhood. Bai Hua felt like he was possessed. He shouted in his heart over and over again, "I didn't guess wrong, I really fell in love with Chen Yu at first sight." Perhaps no one would believe it, but as a proud son of heaven of Yanjing, how could I be so melodramatic? Even in Cambridge, a place full of heroes, when I was only 16 years old, I was able to make countless seniors and teachers exclaim in admiration. Bai Hua, the absolutely calm thinker from the East. How could a person like me fall in love with a strange girl at first sight? This was only the second time we met, but in his mind, it was as if he had gone back in time to when he was 12 or 13 years old. I really did confirm a mysterious theory. The calmer a person was, the easier it was to lose control when they went crazy. Bai Hua clenched his fists tightly. His mind was filled with random thoughts, but his mind was blank. In fact, the effects of Lu Li's godly hypnosis had long since passed. There were many reasons why things had turned out like this. Bai Hua had hidden the pain of losing Jin Shiyue in his heart. He was a conceited and stubborn person, so he didn't want to easily show his disappointment and frustration. He could only grit his teeth and endure it. He really needed a new target to divert his attention and to vent his yearning for love that had nowhere else to go. But what made him feel the most despair was that, with his high standards, even those glamorous celebrities would be compared to Jin Shiyue. The more they compared, the more despair he felt. That was until he met Chen Yu, a talented and arrogant, miraculous girl like him. Then he fell into Lu Li's trap. Originally, things would have been fine, but Qin Guang had displayed a high level of attainment in Arabic. Under the influence of the hypnosis, Chen Yu's image in Bai Hua's heart was constantly perfected. Not only did he not resist the aftereffects, but he also deepened the obsession in his heart again and again, venting all the pain and loneliness of losing Jin Shiyue on the perfect goddess who had descended from the sky. It was said that the other side of a genius was paranoia, and Bai Hua had interpreted this concept to the extreme. The more he couldn't see her, the more he wanted to see her. Now that they had finally reunited, she was even more perfect than before. Qin Guang had goosebumps all over his body from Bai Hua's gaze. Fine, I'll endure it. After all, poor brother Bai was a victim of Lu Li's godly hypnosis. But little Lin, why the hell are you looking at me like that when you're high? I can't take it anymore. My stomach acid is going to go out of control again. Qin Guang covered his mouth and coughed twice, reminding Lin Jingwei to restrain himself. Lin Jingwei finally shook his head and came back to his senses. Fine, he also had goosebumps all over his body. He hurriedly pushed Bai Hua's back from the back. Bai Hua's misty eyes finally regained their clarity. His face was flushed red as he walked over. Hello, Miss Qin Yu. The next second, Qin Yu turned into Abbess Miju. She raised her head slightly and looked at the ceiling at an arrogant 45-degree angle. Her cold eyes were like a waterfall as she looked at Bai Hua indifferently. Not good at all. Lin Jingwei keeps telling me that you want to see me, so I'm really not good at all. Please look at yourself in the mirror. I really don't have any feelings for you. Please stop this pointless harassment. At this moment, thanks to more than 10 versions of the great performing artist's perfect performance of Abbess Miju, all the great female homeroom teachers, female math teachers, and female politics teachers, Qin Guang's originally terrible acting skills suddenly exploded. At this moment, Qin Yu was like the incarnation of a female dean. Her expression was cold, arrogant, and her eyes were filled with extreme annoyance and contempt. Even Lin Jingwei, who was standing behind her, inexplicably thought of his high school homeroom teacher, Teacher Ma. But it was useless. Bai Hua wasn't angry at all. He actually blushed. He scratched his head awkwardly and said in a simple and honest manner, that, if Lin Jingwei has caused any trouble for you, Miss Qin, I would like to express my sincere apologies. Please don't worry, Miss Qin. I really didn't mean to make things difficult for you. I really didn't mean anything by it. Currently, I'm in charge of the Middle East business at Tianjin Energy. The last negotiation was also perfectly resolved with your help, Miss Qin. Tianjin Group really needs Miss Qin to provide translation support. I've asked to meet you several times because I'm really thirsty for talent. Lin Jingwei's mouth opened wider and wider. His brain felt like it was being struck by lightning. Brother Bai Hua, you're going against the heavens. I've known you for almost 20 years and I've never seen you so cowardly. How can your brain work so fast? You've come up with the translation requirements in the blink of an eye. Are you going to use your devilish brain to pick up girls? But this girl is a guy. Even Qin Guang was dumbfounded. How can this be tolerated? He really couldn't continue acting. His mouth was slightly open in a daze. Damn, the old man had been in the field of shamelessness for more than 10 years. He had always thought that his skin was so thick that it could destroy heaven and earth. Never in a million years would he have thought that brother Bai Hua was actually at the level of creating heaven and earth. The old man admitted defeat. Chapter 573. This was not the end of it. Bai Hua made an extremely gentlemanly gesture to lead him forward, but did not touch Qin Guang at all, showing extreme aristocratic etiquette. Qin Guang slightly turned his face away. Miju Shirtai had a bad start, what should he do now? At this time, Liuli's voice suddenly sounded in his mind. Let me tell you a piece of good news. Within 24 hours, the world within the heavenly line cup that you want will arrive. Damn. Don't. I'm not mentally prepared at all. Can we change the time? I'm not in the right state right now. What do you think? What did it mean when it rains, it pours? Roughly speaking, Qin Guang's current state was that he was wearing women's clothing, had a female voice, and was playing the role of a goddess. Yet, he had to face the completely impolite world within the cup. The painful lesson from the language master's cup last time had taught him not to take Liuli's so-called 24 hours seriously. If he did not agree, it would be 3 seconds later. He began to panic. The strongest cross-dressing man in history? This was not good, right? With a stiff face, Qin Guang sat on the sofa with a heavy heart. Bai Hua was very attentive and asked him this and that. What do you like to drink? Cola? Orange juice? Sprite? Not talking? Don't like any of them? Wang Laoji? Jiaduo Bao? Beijing? Oh, I understand. You must like to drink with Evian. Or everlasting ice spring. Lin Jingwei, who was watching from the side, was completely dumbfounded. In just 5 short minutes, the image of Bai Hua, which he had spent 20 years building up in his heart, as a proud son of heaven, had been shattered like an ice sculpture in the summer. He felt ashamed and covered his face in extreme embarrassment. He only felt that his life was as lonely as snow. He could only helplessly watch a genius of a generation, a genius of Yanjing, and the most famous genius of China in the past 20 years fall to such a state. It really made one sigh and only felt that fate was playing with people. However, Qin Guang's Miju Shirtai's golden body had already been broken, and his mind was filled with thoughts of the impending arrival of the Heaven's Thread Cup. How could he be in the mood to continue acting with Bai Hua? But since he was already here and his goal of making him give up had not been achieved, he could not simply leave. Qin Guang couldn't come up with an idea in such a short time, and he couldn't keep up the act any longer. So he just kept a straight face and ignored Bai Hua. Annoyed, Qin Guang waved his hand impatiently. Mr. Bai, I would like to sit quietly for a while. If you really want me to provide translation services for your company, then please act like a professional. You're really bothering me. Bai Hua was taken aback for a moment, but he immediately snapped out of his daze and was overjoyed. I knew that my efforts wouldn't go to waste. She must have felt my sincerity. If she really didn't have any feelings for me, she wouldn't have hinted at me to change the way we interact. I'm really stupid. I'm confused because I'm too concerned. She's such a unique woman in the world. Why would she like this kind of cliché? She must be like me, pursuing a soul mate who can resonate with both talent and spirit. That's fine. As long as she's willing to wake me up, it means that I still have a chance. As expected of Bai Hua, he instantly adjusted his state of mind. He no longer jumped up and down around Qin Guang. Instead, he obediently sat to the side and seriously thought about how to arrange a suitable position for Qin Yu within the Tianjin group. It couldn't be too low. She must be as proud and arrogant as I am. A low starting point would be an insult to her. But it also couldn't be too high. The higher the position, the more burdensome the work would be. She must have her own career. Completely tying her to the Tianjin group would definitely conflict with her own perfect career plans. What should I do? Bai Hua tugged at Lin Jingwei's arm again, sipping the red wine in his hand as he pondered deeply. Lin Jingwei was shocked by Bai Hua's state of deep thought. It's here. Brother Bai Hua's legendary thinker state. 8 years ago, when the relationship between a certain country and China was at its peak, it was in this state that Bai Hua came up with the idea of having China participate in the construction and operation of a certain country's high-speed railway. This not only resolved the conflict between the two countries, but also created tens of billions of dollars worth of foreign exchange. At that time, Bai Hua was only 15 years old. Now he was going to show off his true ability to pick up girls. Brother Guang, can you still hold on? Lin Jingwei secretly looked at Qin Guang, but he was so scared by Qin Guang's troubled look that he almost peed his pants. Brother, you're not really thinking about this, are you? Don't scare me. If I really play with fire, won't I become a sinner for all eternity? How can I face Sun Xiaoshuan, Grandpa Bai, the party and the country? Most importantly, I would definitely be ganged up on by all the old men and be beaten to death by the mixed old age style. If the current Qin Guang knew that his impatient attempt to force Bai Hua to retreat had been interpreted by the other party as a hint, don't be like this, what do you have to do for me to like you? He would definitely vomit 3 liters of blood. However, the current Qin Yu was not in the mood to think about anything else. She was busy thinking about how to deal with the Heaven's Line Cup. Compared to the completely unreasonable Heaven's Line Cup, the Heaven's Line Cup was at least a little earlier notice. So, as long as Qin Guang guaranteed that he would think about something 24/7, he would have a high chance of successfully entering the Heaven's Line Cup. What did he need the most right now? If it wasn't for the incident with Wenwen and the hot pot restaurant, the acting world would undoubtedly be his top priority. But right now, what Qin Guang needed the most was to increase his strength as quickly as possible, especially to train his muscles to the point where he could practice the verdant red scroll. That's right, it's you. The strongest and most perfect body in history with no blind spots. After making up his mind, Qin Guang's heart calmed down a little, and he was no longer that nervous. He lightly curled up his thumb and middle finger. F***ck, he quickly returned to his normal state, picked up a can of herbal tea and downed it. Then he stood up, intending to leave. But in his heart, he was constantly thinking about the verdant red scroll's external techniques to train his body. Miss Qin, what are you? Bai Hua hurriedly turned around and asked. Qin Guang took a deep breath. It's getting late. You wanted to see me and you've already seen me. If there's nothing else, let's part ways here. He didn't say goodbye. He simply didn't want to see her ever again. Don't. That's right. Our Skyline Energy is planning to set up a Middle East international department, and we really need a consultant like you. That's right, a consultant. Bai Hua relied on his brain to dominate the business world, and he was able to come up with an idea in an emergency. Beside him, Lin Jingwei asked curiously, doesn't the Middle East International Department overlap with Brother Xiao Bai's business? Bai Hua silently stepped on Lin Jingwei's foot. There's no overlap. There's no overlap at all. Miss Jin, listen to my analysis. It's like this. Didn't you come back to China to start a business? But you must have a big platform. First of all, as long as you are willing to work as a consultant for Tianjin, you will be able to access first-hand information from all aspects of the domestic energy industry. This is completely in line with your personal career planning and needs. Moreover, the position of a consultant is relatively free, and it won't take up too much of your time. Most importantly, we're about to launch a comprehensive cooperation with the Middle East region, and we need a professional business talent like you who knows how to translate and negotiate. You'll definitely be able to show off your skills. I can give you a big platform, a high starting point, and a broad vision. This is a promise that I, Bai Hua, will make. It's also an official invitation from Skyline Energy Group. When he said these words, Bai Hua brought out his usual negotiation state, and there wasn't a trace of personal emotion in his eyes. If Chen Guang really was the female elite who returned home from China that Lin Jingwei had spouted, she really couldn't resist the temptation that Bai Hua was offering. Unfortunately, Bai Hua was destined to play the lute to a cow. Letting out a sigh, Chen Guang gently flipped his wig and continued, I'm indebted to Mr. Bai's love for me. But Mr. Bai, please don't mention this matter again. Learning Arabic was just a coincidence and I'm not focused on it. You found the wrong person. With that, Chen Guang turned around and left. He really lost to Bai Hua. Bai Hua hurriedly followed behind him. What? Miss Chen, you only learned Arabic by chance and you're already at this level. You're a talent among talents. Being a consultant isn't troublesome at all. Chen Guang opened the door and stepped out. Seeing that Bai Hua still hadn't given up, he turned around again and looked at Bai Hua impatiently. Mr. Bai, the drunkard has ulterior motives. Why do we have to make things so clear? Chen Guang, cough cough cough. Although I, Chen Yu, don't have any background and I know how hard it is to start a business, I don't have the face to accept this kind of pie that falls from the sky. Mr. Bai, you're a dragon among men and I, Chen Yu, can't reach your level. This time, Chen Guang's words were completely unpleasant to hear. Bai Hua's face instantly turned white. Even Jin Shirui had never rejected him in such a straightforward manner. He only felt waves of pain in his heart, and even his body almost couldn't stand steadily. His heart was empty as if he had fallen from the edge of a cliff, and what awaited him was an endless abyss. This made him feel even sadder and more despair than pursuing Jin Shirui without success. What? I don't understand. You won't even give me the slightest chance? I'm really not anxious for success. I just want to understand a little more. Is such a small request so excessive? Bai Hua's pale voice revealed a heart-wrenching pain. Chen Guang sighed in his heart. He knew it was time to put an end to this matter. This brother of his had already become a demon, and it was better to let him suffer for a short time than to let him suffer for a long time. Mr. Bai, to be honest, I've lived abroad for many years. I'm sure Mr. Bai knows that it's a place that advocates freedom of love. Although I'm a woman, you've also seen my androgynous attire. What I like is actually a woman. I'm sorry, but I'm a lesbian. Just like Jiang Yage in the domestic left-hand and right-hand combination. Such a lovely and lively girl is the type of girl I really like. The most heartless way to reject a person, I'm a lesbian. Ah, brother Bai Jingwei, why are you guys here? What are you talking about? Like me? What's going on? At this time, Jiang Yage's voice suddenly sounded from behind Chen Guang. This time, not only did Bai Hua's face turn pale, but Chen Guang's face also looked as if someone had splashed white paint from head to toe. He definitely didn't look at the almanac when he went out today. He wanted to give himself a fierce slap. Of all the people I could have mentioned, I mentioned Jiang Yage. God, are you torturing me? Lin Jingwei was also completely stunned. He was secretly cheering for Chen Guang's legendary gay killer, but the person he had casually mentioned had unexpectedly walked out from Chenhe No. 1 private room behind him. She even heard his random excuse to reject Bai Hua. Lin Jingwei silently raised his head and looked at the golden lights in the corridor. Brother Guang, you must have been a great prophet in your past life, right? You must be Mediv who can transform into a crow, right? Can your mouth still be saved? Thus, the whole world is in a tragedy. How are we going to act next? Can your *TTY acting still hold up? Lin Jingwei felt that the sky was about to collapse. Chapter 574. In the long corridor, the atmosphere suddenly became awkward because of Jiang Yage's words. Lin Jingwei had already given up. He already knew that Chen Guang's acting skills were lacking, but now that Jiang Yage had appeared, he had to say the wrong thing again. Now Qin Guang was faced with such a situation. He had to maintain the cold attitude towards Bai Hua, and at the same time he had to pretend to be happy to see Jiang Yage. After all, Jiang Yage was a famous artist in the country. Ordinary people would never have the chance to meet her. Apart from that, Qin Guang couldn't appear too excited because he was still playing the role of a cold goddess. In that case, he had to maintain his cold demeanor and then bring out an appropriate surprise. However, he had just rejected white birch, so he had to control his emotions a little. Lin Jingwei's scalp went numb just thinking about the difficulty, but he couldn't provide any substantial help to Qin Guang. He could only clench his fists in his heart. Brother Guang. Come on. Brother, I support you. Bai Hua was still immersed in the pain of being rejected, but he didn't want to appear too down in the face of an acquaintance. He told himself in his heart, Bai Hua, pull yourself together. I should have thought of this setback before we met. If it wasn't for the fact that she had no interest in me, why would she keep refusing to see me? I must have performed too badly before, but it doesn't matter. Be brave. Bai Hua. Bring out your intelligence and reinvigorate yourself. Sincerity can split metal and stone. You can't give up. So what if she's gay? That's only because she hasn't met an outstanding man who can move her heart. Maybe she still thinks that I'm a hedonistic second generation who only covets her beauty, so it's understandable that she would feel disgusted. After all, even I find it hard to believe. Who would have thought that I would be so emotional on our first meeting? Time will give you the answer. Bai Hua, put away your arrogance and pride. Be like a real man and use your most sincere feelings to move her bit by bit. Bai Hua was indeed worthy of being called a proud son of heaven of his generation. His mind was filled with so many thoughts in an instant. After thinking so much, only a few seconds had passed. After a brief moment of surprise, Bai Hua put away the depression on his face and put on a pleasantly surprised smile. We came here to sing. Song of Solomon, are you in Tianhe number 1 private room? I was wondering who it was that stole my private room. If it was you, then I wouldn't be surprised at all. Bai Hua's fists were clenched tightly behind his back, but on his face, he had completely regained his usual confident demeanor. Jiang Yage, on the other hand, was very sharp. As one of the best young performers, she was very familiar with the control of facial expressions. No matter how fast Bai Hua's expression changed, it couldn't be hidden from her eyes. This atmosphere isn't right, Jiang Yage thought to herself. But she wasn't in a hurry to point it out. Instead, she rolled her eyes and said, we all thought you guys weren't coming, so we asked for Tianhe number 1. But that's fine. Since it's rare to meet, let's sing together. And this is? Jiang Yage turned her attention to Qin Guang, who had his back turned to her and cast a puzzled look. Bai Hua and Lin Jingwei simultaneously turned their eyes to Qin Guang. Bai Hua's eyes revealed a complicated expression. As for Lin Jingwei, well, it was already completely empty. Xiao Linzi only thought that in the next second he would definitely be exposed. At this moment, Qin Guang was facing the most serious acting test of his life. Who was Jiang Yage? She was a movie, TV, and singing superstar. She had appeared in so many movies and TV shows that her diehard fans couldn't even remember them all. Although she was still very young, she was already a veteran in the performing arts. She was also very familiar with him, so how could he pretend to be a woman in front of her? Wasn't this showing off in front of an expert? If he wasn't careful, he would be exposed. Not to mention that I even set such a strange state for myself. Tears streamed down Qin Guang's face. Forget it, I'll just have to act as I can. If I'm exposed, then so be it. I'll do whatever I want. He silently turned around and looked at Jiang Yage, forcing a smile on his face. Unexpectedly at this time, Bai Hua took a step forward and said, Solomon, let me introduce you. This is Qin Yu, a friend of mine in Jingwei. She just came back from abroad to start her own business. She's your loyal fan. As Bai Hua said this, he winked at Qin Guang. His little eyes seemed to be showing off. Look at how considerate I am. I know you like Jiang Yage, so I helped you get close to her. Qin Guang felt a chill in his heart. Brother, I really didn't expect you to be so tolerant. This is the most ruthless homosexual killing. You just pinched your nose and accepted it all? In the past, Qin Guang never felt that those senior executives of big companies were anything special. They all had 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 nose. I'm only worse than them because I wasn't born in a rich family. But today he was finally convinced. With such a high family background, Bai Hua was indeed someone who could do great things. His nerves were beyond imagination, and his emotional control was so strong that it made people's hair stand on end. I'm convinced. What should I do? How should I say it? The corner of Qin Guang's mouth twitched. He laughed and said, Hee hee. When I was studying in North Carolina, I often listened to left and right-hand songs. They're very nice, hee hee. Jiang Yage looked at Qin Guang suspiciously. She subconsciously felt that this beautiful girl's expression gave her a taste of cheap. It was a bit similar to a certain person in her mind. That's impossible. This older sister is clearly a tall and elegant international supermodel. Why would I have this kind of misconception? Although she seems a bit embarrassed, it should be natural for fans to be reserved when they see their idol. But why do I feel that her smile is cheap? Is it because I miss him so much that I'm in a trance? Strange. Sure enough, as expected of an expert. With just a glance at Jiang Yage, she had doubts in her heart. But she quickly adjusted and patted her head. Nice to meet you, Qin Yu. Come and sing with us. Lin Jingwei and Brother Bai's friends are our friends. As she spoke, she moved closer to Qin Guang and held Qin Guang's hand with a smile. She clasped it tightly between her breasts and pushed Qin Guang into Tianhe No. 1 private room. Although this Qin Yu's hand isn't too thick, her muscles are so tight. Are these really a girl's hands? Jiang Yage's mind abruptly recalled a Hollywood action star that she had worked with in a movie before. The strange thought that popped up in her mind quickly disappeared. Indeed, some girls like to work out. They might not be as strong as men, but their muscles were just as firm. Qin Guang struggled. He didn't want to be pushed by Jiang Yage. He just wanted to run away, but... Fine, she clasped it too tightly. The delicate and cute Jiang Yage's chest was very firm. It was like a pair of pliers that tightly clamped Qin Guang's arm. Bai Hua saw the opportunity and felt that the situation had turned for the better. Although he was a little unwilling to see Jiang Yage holding Qin Yu's arm, he didn't have any psychological barriers. He didn't believe that gay people could play any tricks. Yes, it's rare to see each other. Let's sing a few songs together. Bai Hua also egged on from the side. At this time, Jin Shirui also came out. When she saw Bai Hua at the door, she was a little nervous. But when she realized that Bai Hua's attention was on the tall woman next to him, she couldn't help but ask, "This is Qin Yu?" "This is Qin Yu." Bai Hua volunteered again. His voice was especially loud. Jin Shirui understood. Although this was her first time meeting Qin Yu, she had actually heard of this name a long time ago. After the concert, Bai Hua had deliberately told Jin Shirui about this matter. He didn't want the misunderstanding between the two parties to continue to deepen. At this time, Qin Guang didn't want to say anything. Why is everyone here? It's like seeing a ghost. Okay, I admit that my acting skills are terrible. I really can't act like I hate Bai Hua and love Jiang Yage in this kind of situation. It's better to keep a cold face and leave. Qin Guang first forced a smile, then said, I still have some things to do today and I don't really like to sing. You guys have fun, I'll leave first. After saying that, he quietly tried to break free from Jiang Yage's restraints. On the other side, Jin Shirui rolled her eyes and looked at Bai Hua's disappointed but determined eyes. She instantly understood the situation. Brother Bai Hua was very enthusiastic about Qin Yu, but it was obvious that she didn't care about him. Currently, Brother Bai Hua was still in a state of unrequited love. Qin Yu was a rose with thorns and it wasn't easy to pursue her. I'll help him. Jin Shirui quickly made a decision. It was rare for Bai Hua to finally walk out of her shadow and pursue his true happiness. Since I bumped into him, I'll try to find a way to matchmake the two of them. With this thought in mind, Jin Shirui also came over and hugged Qin Guang's other hand. Together with Jiang Yage, they took Qin Guang to the Heaven Harmony No. 1 private room. Lin Jingwei, who was standing behind Qin Guang, watched with wide eyes. A double sandwich attack. This attack was too fierce. Brother Guang couldn't hold on much longer. If he put up the tent in his pants at this time, he would be exposed on the spot. Today, someone would definitely die. Brother Guang and I would definitely be stabbed to death by Brother Bai Hua, and then Brother Bai Hua would commit suicide. Lin Jingwei closed his eyes and clasped his hands together. He secretly prayed, God, quickly come and save me and Brother Guang. Help me. Lin Jingwei's guess was right. At this time, Qin Guang was in great pain and happiness. The terrifying attack from the left and right was like a tsunami crashing into his mind. Jin Shirui's breasts were a little fuller than Jiang Yage's, and she had a better understanding of Qin Guang's desire to run away at this time, so she clamped her breasts harder than Jiang Yage's. The tightness and fullness of her breasts, which were tightly pressed against her body, brought about a strong sense of touch, were even clearer. The most insane thing was that Jin Shirui used one hand to press Qin Guang's arm against her chest. Her other hand grabbed his palm and pressed it directly on her lower abdomen. The flat abdomen without any excess flesh gave Qin Guang an amazing sensation. The devilish temptation was teasing his heart bit by bit. His face was still forced to maintain a cold and silent expression. However, there was a strange flush of blood on his face. This was because there was a flame burning in the depths of his heart. Not good. The old man's primitive power was about to go out of control. It was completely out of control. Keep for me. Namo Amitba. Buddha sits in the heart. Wine and meat pass through the intestines. No matter how the wind blows, I will stand firm. Alright, this mnemonic chant was useless. The self-torture of ice and fire finally caused him to lose control of one of his weapons. Feeling that a certain part of his lower body was gradually withstanding the small pressure, Qin Guang only had one thought in his mind. It's over. I'm such a terrible actor. Everything that happened in such a short period of time was too sudden. At this moment, he had completely forgotten about the external cultivation method in the painting scroll. His mind was filled with sorrow for his current situation. He subconsciously used his left hand, which was not completely grabbed by Jiang Yage, to gently press down on the satchel hanging on his left shoulder. Inside the satchel was his heavenly holy grail. Then, he entered the world in the cup. Time stopped. Light flowed. When he came back to his senses, he was already standing in the middle of Cloud City. Liuli's computer seemed to be gone. She was sitting cross-legged on the ground with her brows tightly furrowed. He had no idea what she was practicing or what the hell she was doing. Qin Guang looked at her silently. He was completely speechless. He felt that he was extremely unlucky today. His mind was already filled with the painting scroll, but he still failed at the last moment. The moment he failed, he was pulled back by the heavenly holy grail. He felt that his life was simply a comedy that had been performed to the extreme. Just as a certain great master once said, the essence behind a true comedy was actually a tragedy. The heavenly holy grail's world in the cup seemed to always be able to catch him off guard with unexpected methods. The 3-second attack last time was not even as good as 3 seconds this time. This unlucky world in the cup's ability to grasp the weak points was unparalleled. Qin Guang silently looked up at the blue sky with white clouds. He thought to himself, what's the use of me practicing the strongest cross-dressing skill in history? At this moment, Liuli seemed to have sensed his arrival. She opened her eyes slightly and glanced at him. Pfft. She covered her mouth and laughed. She had completely failed. Qin Guang looked down at his clothes and touched his hair. Damn, he still had the same cross-dressing look after coming in. You actually look pretty good like this. Do you want to know what world in the cup is this time? Liuli chuckled. Qin Guang waved his hand. Alright, you don't have to say any more. I understand. I accept my fate. Looking at his lifeless appearance, Liuli rolled her eyes and said mischievously, the world of women's clothing. Damn. Can I not say it out loud? Qin Guang hammered his chest again and again. His heart hurt so much that he wanted to die. Liuli shook her head. That won't do. Good news has to be said so that everyone can be happy. I don't want to talk to you. What were you doing just now? Why did I vaguely see something fall from your body and connect to the floor? Knowing that she never said anything nice, Qin Guang simply didn't care about what the next world in the cup was. Anyway, he would deal with it as it came. Liuli also acted shamelessly. I don't want to talk to you, so I won't tell you. The two didn't talk for long before a familiar and terrifying suction descended from the sky. Qin Guang's head was sucked away. After Qin Guang disappeared, Lu Minghua's voice came from afar. Sister Liuli, it's too much to tease him like this. Liuli chuckled. Isn't this where the fun lies? Speaking of which, why don't you show any signs of transforming? Lu Minghua sighed. Don't talk about it. My roots have already grown for almost 10,000 miles under this cloud city, but I still haven't seen the bottom. I'm sinking deeper and deeper. Sister Liuli, that's a part of your soul fusing into the holy cup, but this flower's body has grown into the holy cup. Why are we two sisters so unlucky? Now, I've become a vessel for his faith. I'm really tired. I feel like my body is about to overflow from being stuffed to the point of bursting. Tui? Talk properly, don't be so vulgar. Didn't you do it yourself? Who asked you to eat his hair? Didn't I get hurt by you too? Chapter 575. Liuli was scolding Lu Ming when she suddenly froze. A rather strange expression appeared on her face. Lu Ming chuckled, it's coming, the meat toilet from the women's clothing mountain range. Liuli glared fiercely in Lu Ming's direction. You are the meat toilet. Your whole flower is a meat toilet. Shut up, this emperor is a mirror this time. Lu Ming asked curiously, mirror? Isn't it acting? Why is it a mirror? Liuli really didn't have the mood to explain to her, because Qin Guang's special training in the cup world had already begun. On the other hand, Qin Guang plunged out after passing through the long space-time tunnel. This time he didn't hit the water surface, but fiercely hit the mirror glass that was as hard as iron, making him dizzy and confused. He almost got a concussion. He staggered up and sat on the ground for a long time. He looked around but couldn't see anything clearly. He only felt that everything he saw was spinning and his head was buzzing. After a long time he finally came back to his senses. Damn it, I forgot to fill the cup with water this time. There was only one feeling in his head, pain. Sigh, why is my life so bitter? I just had to mix into the women's clothing world. How can I erase this stain in my life? If my father knows that his son has become a woman's clothing fetish, he will definitely beat me to death, right? With such a desperate mood, Qin Guang looked around. He thought that waiting for him would be countless dazzling women's clothing, but it was empty. There was nothing in the round cup world with a diameter of 1 kilometer. What's going on? Qin Guang tried to take 2 steps and looked around carefully, but it was really empty. He rubbed his eyes. Is there anyone around? No matter who it is, tell me what the hell is going on. Stop howling, this time the cup world is testing your acting skills, not your unlucky cross-dressing. Lu Li's voice suddenly rang out from the bottom of his heart, making Qin Guang so moved that his eyes brimmed with tears. After being tricked by the cup countless times, he finally gave it a try. It was a sad thing to lose the opportunity to practice the external kung fu of the dancing volume. However, the world in the cup changed from cross-dressing to acting, which he feared the most, and brought him back from hell to the human world. Even if he couldn't go to heaven, he should be very happy. Come to think of it, the judgment of the Holy Grail was not unreasonable. He had already put on this outfit long ago, but the moment before he came in, his mind was thinking about how to play the role he was currently playing, how to show his excellent acting skills, and how to become a professional actor so that he could deal with the extremely awkward situation he was currently in. On top of that, he had been pondering over the script whenever he had the chance. His current state of mind, coupled with the accumulation of his thoughts over the past few days, caused him to crave acting skills the most at that moment. Qin Guang had always thought that the Holy Grail was tricking him, but the Holy Grail had never failed to capture his desire and obsession. It's great that you're not cross-dressing. Qin Guang patted his chest. Oh my god, you don't know how scared I was just now. Don't just rejoice, this acting test isn't that easy to pass. Lu Li's tone was solemn. Qin Guang was suddenly alarmed. What do you mean? People will die? Yes, people will die, Lu Li replied. Qin Guang simply didn't believe it. Stop joking, it's just acting. If you don't act well, you'll die? Lu Li spat. Isn't it common for people to die in a play? But that's fake death. But this is the world in the cup. If you can't act to the satisfaction of the Holy Grail, you'll really die. For example, the prop gun will become a real gun. This time, Qin Guang began to panic. If you have something to say, then say it. Don't shout about fighting and killing. It's useless talking to this empress, go talk to the mirror. Lu Li chuckled and didn't move again. After a short while, a mirror suddenly appeared in front of Qin Guang. It was about the height of a person and looked like a full-length changing mirror. However, Qin Guang was on full alert. Lu Li had already said that people would die. Who knew if a gun would suddenly jump out from the mirror? After waiting for a while, there was still no movement. The image in the originally misty white mirror suddenly became clear. Who is this? Why is she so beautiful? Qin Guang frowned as he looked at the overly beautiful tall woman in the mirror. Then he turned around and vomited. Damn, a mirror is a mirror, it's me in it, okay. He quickly tore off the wig, then ran to the corner of the world in the cup to find a small puddle and washed his face red. He also took off his slightly tight shirt. Only then did he return to the mirror. This time, the big bald man in the mirror was much more pleasing to the eye. This time, the world in the cup is a world of acting. There are a total of 3 major stages. The first stage is basic training. Qin Guang was happy. As expected of the considerate world in the cup. That's right, how could it be so heartless? From the beginning they should start from the basics. The second stage is intensive training. Qin Guang's smile became more and more brilliant. After the basics was the strengthening. It was very reasonable and humane. Lu Li must be talking nonsense. It's just practicing acting. Even if it's a line in the sky, it won't be life-threatening. The third stage, death combat. F***CK. Forget it, there's no need to say any more. The moment he heard the name of the third stage, he knew it wasn't a joke. The old man admitted defeat. The so-called actor was 70% talent and 30% hard work. It was obvious that Qin Guang didn't have much talent. Otherwise, even as a beginner, he wouldn't have ruined the entire scene by playing a small role on the set. In terms of acting, his talent was in the negatives. However, the skills produced by the Heavenly Holy Grail couldn't be discounted. They had to be the strongest in history. Therefore, he had to use countless hours of hard work to reach the standard of the Heavenly Holy Grail to make up for his negative talent. He silently sat in front of the mirror and looked at himself in it. He thought to himself, what's the basic training like? Will the reflection in the mirror suddenly open its mouth and give a lecture? Just as he was thinking about this, he saw the reflection in the mirror suddenly move. The hand of the person in the mirror suddenly reached out of the mirror. When it retracted, it was holding a thick book as thick as the Oxford Dictionary. The next moment, the person in the mirror suddenly swung his arm and threw the Oxford Dictionary out of the mirror. Fortunately, Qin Guang reacted quickly and caught it. He took a look at the cover. Stanislavski and the Experiential Performing Arts. After all this time, this mirror was just a bookshelf. Did you have to be so domineering when you passed the book to me? Please read the entire text and practice your self-training in front of the mirror. The electronic voice of the Heavenly Holy Grail sounded again. Studying such an obscure book was undoubtedly extremely difficult for an ordinary person like Qin Guang, who didn't want to be an actor. However, this was the world in the cup. He had no other choice but to study. Even if it was disgusting, boring, or even breaking down, he would just take things as they came. Studying was much more interesting than sharpening pencils. He had to thank the Heavenly Holy Grail's special ability to seal his emotions. Even though he knew that he was disgusted to the point of wanting to vomit under normal circumstances, he still easily finished the book. It took him about 3 years. During this period, he even had to make fixed expressions in front of the mirror from time to time according to the performing arts training methods recorded in the tome. For example, happiness, anger, loneliness, depression, and so on. Towards the end, the emotions became more and more complicated. For example, tears of joy, sorrow after extreme joy, or embarrassment and anger after receiving bad news, only to find out that the messenger had made a mistake. In Stanislavski's system, an excellent performing artist must learn to have absolute control over their emotions. When performing, they must become one with the character they were about to portray. In this kind of performance, it could be said that the actor was above the character. It was more like the actor had completely immersed himself in the character and pushed the boat along with the current. This kind of performance seemed complicated and unfathomable, but in fact, it could also be learned through professional training. A beginner actor with outstanding acting talent would need about 3 months to learn all the methods and techniques recorded in the tome and reach the barely qualified standard. However, it took Qin Guang 3 years. 3 years without sleep, rest, food, or drink, and tireless. Finally closing the thick tome, Qin Guang watched the book slowly disassemble in his hands. His heart was filled with mixed feelings. The Heavenly Holy Grail's electronic voice sounded in his ears. Stanislavski and the Experiential Performing Arts completed. It wasn't easy. He let out a long sigh. The basic training should be over. The electronic voice sounded again. Basic training completed 1%. Pfft. Qin Guang's eyes widened. He was completely dumbfounded. It took him so long to finish a book, and now you're telling him that it was only 1%. Without giving him a chance to redress his grievances, the man in the mirror tossed him an even thicker tome. Qin Guang caught it and read it. He could only curse at the man's mother and father. I've worked so hard to learn the superficial theories of the experiential school, and now you want me to learn the expressive school. How inhumane. Comprehensive analysis of an actor's dual personality, the artistic techniques of the expressive school. In the theory of the expressive school, the performer had 2 selves. One was the actor's soul, and the other was the actor's voice and body. In the process of performing arts, the first self, which was the actor's soul, would always remain in an absolutely calm state. However, through long-term training, the performance of the external second self could be expanded to the extreme, turning the second self into clay in the hands of the artist, which could be molded into any shape at will. Using a calm mind to control the body and voice, the performing arts could be displayed externally. This was because the performing arts itself was something that was shown to the outside world. The expressive school and the experiential school were 2 completely opposite theories. Although they were both performing arts, they were as incompatible as water and fire. Qin Guang, who had just been influenced by the experiential school, suddenly switched to the expressive school. This was torture for him. Fortunately, he could not break down in the realm of the heavenly Holy Grail, and he had endless time. Laugh loudly. Laugh crazily. Laugh implicitly. She laughed hysterically out of anger. Cry. Cry angrily. Cry of suppressed sadness. Cry of ecstasy and uncontrollable emotions. Unlike the experiential school, which focused on emotions, the expressive school's training methods mainly focused on the release of completely external emotions. In the process of training in front of the mirror, Qin Guang was required to have the exact same expression as the person in the mirror. Even the expression in his eyes and the voice that came out of his mouth could not be the slightest bit different. The same went for his body language. From simple to difficult, from static to dynamic. After finishing this secret of the expressive school, he finally understood the strengths of Jiang Yage and Jin Shuiyue. No matter what their personalities were like, at least in terms of acting, the two were simply impeccable. Just like Jiang Yage, even if she was secretly happy about something in front of the camera, she was a heroine who cried hysterically after losing her loved ones. Another 3 years passed and Qin Guang passed. 2 years later, he finished another form of expression, the past and present of the American method. The method was a deeper extension of the experiential school. In addition to showing the state of the character at the time of the event, the performer also had to completely create the character's personality and life, so that the character completely ignored the camera. On the stage or in the shooting scene, it was like living in a film and television work, using a natural way to live the story. For example, before Robert De Niro acted in Taxi Driver, he really drove a taxi for a period of time and experienced the life of a taxi driver. Then Qin Guang entered a sad endless cycle. Experiential school, expressive school, and method school, these three forms of artistic expression alternated. After 33 terrifying cycles, Qin Guang finally pushed the basic training to 99%. Looking at the last book that was thrown out of the hands of the person in the mirror, the fourth performing art. Compared with the 99 tomes that he had read before, this last book was very thin, about the thickness of a thumb. But when Qin Guang held this book, he was so excited that his hands were shaking. Finally, he was about to become a wife. This unlucky basic training was really not easy. Even though he gradually got the feeling of reading, and his speed of reading became faster and faster, almost 100 years had passed. He felt that he had changed a lot. He had never liked acting and now he hated it even more. Like an ocean, a vast amount of acting knowledge was stored in his brain. Although he might have learned along the way and it was impossible for his brain to really remember that much, there were some things that did not need to be memorized. This crazy cramming training had brought him spiritual and physical sublimation and change, and he had found a special feeling for the art of acting from the bottom of his heart. But with his current state, he might be able to become a qualified actor after he went out, but he could not reach the level of the strongest actor in history. Now, this booklet in front of him, the fourth performing art, was the last shackle for him to break through and become the strongest actor in history in one fell swoop. It was a crazy method that had never appeared in the entire history of the world of performing arts. Through the complete resonance of the soul and the body, one's soul and body would be completely hypnotized. After completely understanding the script, one would create a complete world in one's mind, not only including the past and present lives of the character that one was playing, but also the past and present lives of the other characters. Under the camera, one would become the master of the world. It was similar to the method that Luli used to hypnotize him to become the best actor last time, but it was of a higher level. It was to completely hypnotize oneself to become the character in the play, turning acting into real life. Qin Guang took a deep breath and slowly flipped open the stairway to heaven. The strongest best actor in history had finally passed the most primitive stage of accumulation and taken the most important step. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.